Chronicles of the Stellar Mecha War. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151 Lin Family. The road to Gaocheng is not long. It only takes more than an hour to get there, and if you are familiar with the road, you don't even need to drive there. I thought Lin Fan would sit in the passenger seat and tell Song Ren how to get there, but she said she didn't know the way. Fortunately, technology is advanced now, and everyone knows how to use navigation. After quickly locating the community, Song Ren turned the steering wheel and drove out of the community. Because they chose the provincial road along the river, they drove along the river. Looking at the beautiful riverbank scenery on the left, everyone praised it. No wonder people say that Jiangnan is a good place. Even the road is so beautiful. Jiu grew up in Gao, and it was rare for him to see such road conditions. On the morning of New Year's Eve, there were not many cars on the road. It was rare to see a car coming and going. They felt like they were driving in a scenic area, and they felt relaxed and happy. A little over an hour later, the car stopped downstairs of the Lin family in Gaocheng. Lin Fan asked everyone not to take the luggage, but only take the New Year's greetings and souvenirs bought on the road, and the group went up to the 4th floor. Before opening the door, they heard faint quarrels from inside the door. Lin Fan waited for a few minutes, and seeing that the quarrel had no intention of stopping, he looked at his friend standing on the stairs, and looking at each other, and finally opened the door. As soon as the door opened, the sound of quarreling came out clearly, and everyone standing in the corridor could hear it clearly. "I'm back." Lin Fan had to remind him, and successfully interrupted the quarrel. "Xiao Fan is back." Lin's father and mother both poked their heads out, saw Lin Fan standing outside the door, and came to greet him with a smile. Lin Fan looked at Gao Cheng's house, which was relatively clean, and had been cleaned at a glance. But you can't look closely, otherwise you will find problems everywhere. "Well, I'm back." Lin Fan entered the house, revealing Song Ren behind him. Lin's mother's eyes lit up, and before she could say anything, the 3 guys behind her appeared one by one. Each of them was tall, handsome, and heroic, and Lin's mother was immediately dazzled. Lin Fan had said before that some colleagues would go home with her for the new year, so they were not surprised by the extra guests. "Uncle, Aunt, Happy New Year." The 4 of them greeted their elders together and handed out the New Year's goods in their hands. In addition to the specialties of the Li and Gao families that he bought on the way, Lin Fan also bought cigarettes and alcohol at the mall yesterday. "It's good that you're here. Why bring any gifts?" Lin's father and mother smiled and took the things and asked the guests to sit down quickly. When Gao Cheng's house was renovated, Lin's mother had not yet gotten into trouble. At that time, she was rich, so it looked quite luxurious. It had a bit of European luxury style. The European leather sofa was large and wide, and it was no problem for 2 people to sleep. As soon as the few people sat down, Lin's mother pulled Lin Fan into the room. "Hey, is there a partner in there?" "No." Lin Fan denied it bluntly. "At your age, you are not married yet. What else do you want to do?" When Lin's mother heard that the result was not satisfactory, she immediately started complaining. Lin Fan didn't want to listen to these nagging just after returning, so he walked away and left the room. Seeing that she didn't even listen to her words and started to curse again, Lin's mother suddenly remembered that there were guests in the living room, so she quickly shut up and put on a smile to entertain the guests. Although Lin's mother pulled people into the room, she didn't speak in a low voice, so everyone outside heard it. But they were obedient and didn't say anything, pretending not to hear. "Okay, the child just came back. Don't say these unhappy things." Lin's father also heard it and hurried to be a peacemaker. "It's the new year. Why do you have to make it unhappy? I was looking forward to the child coming back every day before, but he didn't say anything good when he came back, so why bother? You are the only one who can be a good person." Lin's mother glared at Lin's father unhappily, but smiled when facing the guests. The speed of this change of face made several people secretly marvel in their hearts. Lin's father was choked by his wife, and he was naturally angry, but he still remembered that today was New Year's Eve, and his daughter had just come back with guests, so he couldn't quarrel. He held his breath, picked up the fruits and snacks on the table, and stuffed them into Song Ren and others' hands. Don't be polite, don't be polite, just treat it as your own home. Song Ren and others clearly felt that the fat Lin's father had a much better personality than Lin's mother, and they thanked him and obediently ate the food in their hands. Dad, don't you prepare any food at home? Lin Fan came out of the room and walked around the kitchen. Seeing the things prepared on the countertop and in the refrigerator, which didn't look like food for the Chinese New Year, he asked, "Oh, we'll just have something for lunch and book a hotel to have New Year's Eve dinner at night," Lin's father said with a smile. "Knowing that you're going to bring your friends back this year, we specially booked the hotel for New Year's Eve dinner. We are afraid that eating at home won't suit your friends' tastes." Lin's mother also added with a smile, "Auntie, you're welcome." Song Ren and the others spoke up. They didn't really care what they ate. Home-cooked meals are more delicious during the Chinese New Year. However, the guests should follow the host's wishes. Lin Fan's parents have made arrangements, and they are responsible for eating. It seems that in recent years, many people have New Year's Eve dinner in restaurants. Gao Fei remembered that last year, his uncle and aunt also took his grandparents to a restaurant for New Year's Eve dinner. Really? Li Chunhe had never experienced it. He had always reunited with his family and had New Year's Eve dinner together during the Chinese New Year since he was a child. He didn't know about this. "Yes," Gu replied, "we have had the New Year's Eve dinner reservation service in Gao for a long time. It's convenient to eat in a restaurant. You can just go home after dinner without the trouble of cleaning up." "That's right," Song Ren also said. "Harbin also has reservations for New Year's Eve dinner in restaurants. In the past, we had to be busy many days in advance for the new year, and after the new year, people were exhausted. It's really convenient to eat in a restaurant." Yes, we have been eating in restaurants in recent years," Lin's father said with a smile. "In the past few years, we ate with her uncle's family. This year, they said they wanted to travel for the new year and went out to play. It's just right for you to come, haha, and we can have fun eating there." Lin's mother heard the flowers nearby and asked Gu, "Little G, are you from Gao?" "Yes." Gu stopped eating and replied with his clothes on his back, "Is that Rihan Trading Company famous in Gao?" Lin's mother was still thinking about this question. She felt that there must be something wrong with Lin Fan not letting her go to the company. Whether it is famous or not depends on how you look at it. Gu's answer was very cunning. It must be famous in the circle, but people outside the circle may not know it. After all, there are thousands of companies in Gao, and not everyone knows the Fortune 500 companies. "Don't you think so, Auntie?" Lin's mother thought about it, and it seemed to make sense. "Then the daughter of the old Wang family doesn't know. Is it because she is not in the same circle as you? What company does her daughter work for?" Gu asked in a persuasive manner. "It seems to be a clothing company." Lin's mother was actually not sure, but vaguely remembered that it was a clothing company. "That's right," Gu said sincerely. "Clothing companies and trading companies have nothing to do with each other, so it's normal for him not to know." "Oh. Maybe Gu's expression touched Lin's mother, or maybe it was something else." Lin's mother accepted this statement and continued to ask, "Is Xiao Ji a local of Gao?" "Yes, Auntie, I was born in Gao since I was a child, and I'm a local," Gu replied. "How old are you this year?" Lin's mother continued to ask. 27. Gu continued to answer. "Do you have a girlfriend?" As soon as Lin's mother asked this question, even a fool knew what she wanted to do. She still wanted to find a partner for Lin Fan. The ultimate goal of middle-aged women is to match up with all the singles, right? Haha, don't forget to vote. Chapter 152 almost got exposed. "No," Gu answered truthfully. After all, apart from Lin's mother's pointed expression, these questions are actually quite common. "Mom." Lin Fan frowned, trying to stop Lin's mother from continuing. "Why are you shouting? Who am I doing this for?" Looking at a row of handsome guys, Lin's mother couldn't help but feel excited and asked what was wrong. However, 27 is a little small. She turned to Gao Fei next to Gu. "Xiao Gao, where are you from?" Lin's mother's smile looked like a wolf grandmother to Gao Fei. but he didn't speak and was not polite, so he had to answer truthfully. After asking a few questions, Lin's mother knew that this was also 27, so she quickly gave up and turned to Lee Chun-hoo. Lee Chun-hoo asked and answered Lin's mother, and the conversation was very lively, but at the end she said married, which completely dispelled Lin's mother's enthusiasm. Why didn't you say it earlier? Lin's mother was a little annoyed, feeling that she had wasted her time on him. Zio Song. Lin's mother was about to turn the topic to Song Ren, but Lin's father, who couldn't stand it, quickly called for dinner. No matter how anxious you are, you can't ask this. How can you leave a good impression when they come to visit for the first time? A group of people hurried to the table, concentrating on eating seriously. The dishes at noon were not rich, nor were they enough. Although Lin Fan asked his family to prepare more, the inexperienced Lin's father only prepared more according to the normal amount. For the people with high intake, they could only eat half full. But no one planned to speak, and everyone was busy coming and going. Seeing you like this reminds me of my youth. Seeing that the few people were sitting upright while eating, Lin's father asked with emotion, have you been soldiers? More than that, we are serving now. Lee Chun-hoo said casually. Huh, you are still in active service. Lin's father put down his wine glass, feeling something was wrong. Then how come you are colleagues of my Xianofan? Yes, isn't Xianofan the director of a trading company? Aren't you from a trading company? Lin's mother also realized something was wrong. Seeing that he was about to be exposed, Gu quickly explained, Uncle, Aunt, you misunderstood. We didn't explain it clearly. Our unit has business dealings with Lin Fan's trading company. We have been in contact with her for a long time, which is equivalent to colleagues from different companies. Is that so? Lin's father couldn't quite understand the current situation. Are you from the purchasing department? Lin's mother responded quickly. The purchasing department will have business dealings with trading companies. Then do you have documents to prove your identity? Lin's father was still not reassured. We have documents, but because the unit is confidential, we can't show them to Uncle. Seeing that Lin's father's suspicious expression became more and more, Song Ren added, but we all have red driver's licenses. Uncle has been a soldier and should know that this is only available to internal personnel. He took out the red driver's license from his pocket and handed it to Lin's father. Lee Chun-hoo and the others also took out their driver's licenses and handed them over. Lin's father had been a soldier and knew that some units were confidential and could not be disclosed. He took the red book and looked through it one by one. Song Ren and Lee Chun-hoo's driver's licenses were issued when they were in the Special Operations Department, and the departments on them were all their original units. After being transferred to 800, they were busy with Mecha driving training and did not change their driver's licenses. Gao Fei and Gu's driver's licenses were still issued by the flight base. They had just been transferred here for a month and were not used regularly, so they did not change them. Although Lin's father had served in the army, they did not have such driver's licenses at that time. He looked at the red book over and over again, but could not tell whether it was real or fake. But from the production process, it did not look fake. Okay, Dad, it's real. Lin Fan did not want his father to worry about these things anymore, so he said, I promise it's real. Besides, if they are fake, what else can they cheat you of? We don't have money. Lin's father looked at his daughter and then looked at the upright sitting posture of the others. He still chose to believe it. What is this L? Lin's mother did not think about the authenticity of the matter. She took Lee Chun-hoo's driver's license and pointed to the letter after A on the licensed vehicle model and asked, it's a tracked vehicle. Lee Chun-hoo replied with a smile. Tracked vehicle? Lin's mother was confused. Is it an armored vehicle? Lin's father acted and asked. No, armored vehicles include tracked vehicles and wheeled vehicles. Tracked vehicles are generally tanks. Lee Chun-hoo showed a mouthful of white teeth. Oh, then what is this T? Lin's father nodded and pointed at Song Ren and asked. It is a special vehicle, such as an oil tanker, a crane, or a special vehicle for certain special licenses. Song Ren explained. Lin's father quickly believed their identities. As an old comrade, he was very happy. He kept talking about his previous service, but Lin's mother had no interest in these things and asked about Song Ren's personal situation. Lin Fan wanted to speak again, but Song Ren shook his head to stop him. He obediently answered all kinds of questions from Lin's mother. Song Ren's conditions are really good. It's not a problem that he is 3 years younger than Lin Fan. Isn't it said that a woman who is 3 years older than her husband will bring him wealth? The only downside is that his hometown is a little far away. But this is not a problem. The couple can live in Gao in the future. Lin's mother is happier and happier. The look she gives Song Ren is like a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. Song Ren was unmoved. No matter how Lin's mother changed, he still behaved well and politely. Lin's father couldn't stand it anymore, so he quickly finished lunch and asked Lin Fan to take a few people to visit the ancient sites in Gaocheng. He couldn't let them be questioned by Lin's mother at home. Hey, have you decided where to stay tonight? If not, just stay at home. Before leaving, Lin's mother warmly persuaded them to stay. It's booked. It's already booked. Lin Fan quickly closed the door and hurried downstairs. In fact, it was not booked at all. The Lin family actually has 3 bedrooms, each with a double bed, and a luxurious leather sofa in the living room. Can also sleep 2 people. But with the current situation at home, it is impossible for them to stay at home anyway. Song Ren will be annoyed to death. Lin Fan didn't want to let a few people stay at home before, and this time it was even more impossible. They drove to the express hotel outside the community and booked a room. It's not too far, about 400 meters away. Before Song Ren and his friends came, they thought they would make do with the Lin family like the Li family or the Gao family. But Lin Ma's enthusiasm was really overwhelming. In order not to cause trouble for themselves or Lin Fan, they obeyed the arrangement. If it wasn't inappropriate, Lin Fan himself would have wanted to book a room in the hotel. After arranging the accommodation, everyone went to Gaocheng's famous historical sites. But many of them were closed for the holiday, so everyone could only take photos and check in at the entrance of the scenic spot. Because of their fear of Lin Ma and not wanting to go back so early, everyone went to the big shopping mall in the city center for a walk. The shopping mall during the New Year's holiday was really lively and crowded. Lin Fan had experienced such scenes several times, and the discomfort in his heart was no longer so strong. Li Chunhua saw women's clothing and was eager to buy clothes for Lin Fan, but was stopped by her. The 2 sacks of clothes were still in the trunk of the car. It would be really inconvenient to take more. When it was getting dark, Lin Ma called to urge them, and they hurried home. The place to eat was in a small hotel outside the community. It was about 500 meters on foot, very close. Why are you so late? Lin's mother complained as soon as they entered the private room. Lin Fan smiled but said nothing. Seeing that everyone was present, the waiter began to serve the dishes. A wide variety of dishes were placed on the table, and everyone filled their glasses with wine and clinked their glasses together. The New Year's Eve dinner began. It is easy to expose a lie by covering it with a lie. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 153 The Secret of That Year. The hotel's dishes are very good and taste good. There is a TV in the small private room, and the atmosphere is just right. But everyone feels that there is no New Year atmosphere, as if it is no different from an ordinary dinner party. Lin's mother aimed at Song Ren and kept attacking him. Others could only try their best to make jokes, and even Lin Fan and Lin's father could not help. I'm sorry. Outside the bathroom door, Lin Fan was waiting for Song Ren. Her mother was crazy and couldn't be stopped. If it weren't for the fact that it was New Year's Eve, she would have wanted to slam the table and leave. Lin's mother's impatience made Lin Fan feel that she was a hot trouble, so her mother couldn't wait to find her next home. It's okay. Don't think too much. Auntie is auntie, and you are you. Song Ren bent down to wash his hands and told Lin Fan not to care. That being said, Lin Fan still felt guilty. If he hadn't accompanied her back, he wouldn't have encountered so many things. Song Ren has never been a talkative person. In order to deal with Lin's mother today, he has said a lot. It's okay. Song Ren wiped his hands and patted Lin Fan's shoulders. Believe me, it's okay. Lin Fan looked into Song Ren's eyes steadily and finally chose to believe him. The anxiety in her heart had already risen, and she couldn't fall into this emotion, so she could only throw the trouble to Song Ren. Song Ren patted her shoulder again, smiled and pushed her to the box. Putting aside the fact that Lin's mother kept staring at Song Ren, the meal was generally quite pleasant. After dinner, Lin's mother invited everyone to go home and sit down. It was just past 7 o'clock, and everyone was embarrassed to refuse, so they went back to Lin Fan's house. A group of people sat in the living room, watching the Spring Festival Gala, eating snacks, and chatting. How many years has it been since Lin Fan felt such an atmosphere? Even Lin's mother's urgency eased a lot. During this period, everyone found an opportunity to call home, to show concern, and ask about the situation at home. After the call, everyone couldn't hide their happiness. Lin Fan couldn't help feeling guilty. If he hadn't been with her, these people should have spent the new year at their own home. Song Ren comforted her and said that if it weren't for her, they wouldn't have had this vacation at all. So Lin Fan was the biggest contributor. Although Lin's mother didn't say anything, she secretly watched the interaction between the two, with joy flashing in her eyes. At 10:30, the four said goodbye to the Lin family. Usually, Lin Fan would go to bed at this time. Lin Fan hurried downstairs to see him off, and Lin's father also went downstairs with his daughter to see the guests off. Amid the politeness and refusal of several people, they parted at the gate of the community. Lin Fan apologized to several people again for Lin's mother's presumptuousness and rudeness. Lin's father also asked everyone not to care. Lin's mother's original intention was to care about her daughter. Several people hurriedly said not to care, and waited for Lin Fan and Lin's father to return before walking to the hotel. No one cares about my sister's health. After walking a distance, Gao Fei suddenly said. They stayed for such a long time, and didn't hear a word of concern for Lin Fan's health. Even the smiling Lin's father didn't ask. When I heard Auntie talk about Sister Lin, she almost always criticized her. Gu has been paying attention to this aspect since he discovered it. Mother Lin seemed to be used to this way of communication, and she started by scolding. More than that, Li Chunhu aside, when Auntie talked about Lin Fan, Uncle didn't stop her in time and let her say that. No wonder Lin Fan is depressed. He is like this in front of all of us. They were all guests who came to the Lin family for the first time, and they should avoid guests if there were any conflicts. Mother Lin was different from ordinary people. She must have restrained herself. Thinking about what she said on the phone, it was not easy for Lin Fan these years, and they seemed to be able to empathize. Song Ren didn't say anything. As for feelings, he felt the most deeply. He was a little overwhelmed by Mother Lin's enthusiasm. What if the enthusiasm was replaced by cold scolding? Back in the room, Song Ren called Jin Sichen. At the beginning, Jin Sichen said that the Lin family's parents were an important cause of depression, and also told him to pay special attention to Lin Fan's condition when he returned home. After getting to know each other for most of the day, Song Ren had to admit that it was better for Lin Fan to live in an environment away from his parents. On the other side, Lin Fan and Lin's father walked back in silence. Xiao Fan, I embarrassed you again today, Lin's father suddenly said. No. Lin Fan was silent for a moment and replied. She had become accustomed to Lin's father's tolerance. Even when Lin's mother made such a big mistake before, Lin's father himself was so angry that he was hospitalized, but he could still forgive Lin's mother. It must be true love, she thought. You must be wondering why dad is so tolerant of your mother? But Lin's father seemed to know what she was thinking and took the initiative to bring up the topic. I used to be curious, Lin Fan said, looking at how you get along. I'm sorry that I can't feel any obvious love between you. Most of the time, it's all contradictions and disgust. I don't quite understand. Why do you want to maintain a marriage like this? For the sake of companionship in old age. Lin Fan didn't want to persuade her parents to separate. She just felt it was strange. Why did they stay together when they quarreled every day and it was so painful? Lin's father suddenly stopped moving, as if he had made up his mind. He had obviously gone downstairs and took Lin Fan to the courtyard of the community. Even though Lin Fan was full of questions, he could sense that his father wanted to tell him something to avoid telling his mother. Why didn't I divorce your mother? Lin's father stood in the empty pavilion with his back to Lin Fan and said, because I feel I owe her a life. Question mark? Lin Fan frowned. She never knew that her parents' marriage involved such a serious problem. Back then, when your mother was with me, I was still a poor boy. Lin's father still had his back to her. His voice was light and far away, as if it could be blown away by a gust of wind. Everyone disagreed with her being with me, but she refused to listen. Lin's mother's stubbornness can be seen from her behavior back then. I'm not sure if she was really in love with me at that time, or if she wanted to go against everyone. When everyone around me advised me to give up and not to be a toad wanting to eat swan meat, I was ready to back out. At that time, Lin's father was a poor boy with a rural household registration. He had just been demobilized and had nothing except a good-looking face. Lin's mother, on the other hand, was a city resident, graduated from high school, and was beautiful and youthful. She was in her prime. Your mother-in-law didn't want your mother to be with me. I thought, forget it. With so many people opposing it, there would be no good result. Lin's father sighed. I didn't expect your mother to be so stubborn and drink pesticides directly. Lin Fan was shocked. She never knew there was such a secret. The person was rescued, but your mother has never dared to drink bottled drinks since then. Lin's father's voice was painful. Lin Fan thought about it carefully. Indeed, Lin's mother rarely drank bottled drinks outside, especially green tea, black tea, and those yellow-colored drinks. She would not touch them, even if her mouth was dry. So this was the reason. The young man never thought that people's emotions could be so intense. She was willing to die to marry him. Everyone was scared by Lin's mother, and no one opposed the two of them being together. The two who were still in love suddenly got married. The young man felt that he owed the girl a life, and he tried his best to earn a good life for his wife. Lin Fan knew most of what happened later. The reason for love is that it is deep and lasting. Why did it change slowly later? Please vote. Chapter 154. Lin's father apologizes. So I'm responsible for your mother's behavior today. Father Lin turned around, his eyes deep and frustrated. Every time she did something bad, I would unconsciously think of the time when she risked her life for me. Father Lin lowered his head. Although so many years have passed, I already know that it may not be love, but it is still a life after all. So no matter what she does, you can forgive her. Lin Fan finally knew the reason. So she knows that you will not leave her, no matter what she does. I can tolerate everything she does, but I didn't expect to hurt you in the end. Father Lin shook his head, his voice full of pain. When I was young, I only knew how to make money, but I didn't expect your mother's personality to become more and more flamboyant. I thought it would be enough to feed my wife and children well, but I didn't expect it to affect your psychology. This was the analysis that the psychologist gave to Father Lin before. People of their age don't even know that there is such a thing as mental health. I have been entangled with your mother all my life, and you are well behaved and sensible, so dad will unconsciously ignore it. You are also a child who needs attention. Father Lin's voice was sad, but many things are over and over, and it's too late to talk about it anymore. When you were in school, I was always busy outside. Later, my business failed, and I was immersed in my own frustrations. When I woke up, you had already chosen a university in another province and left home. I realized that something was wrong at that time, but I didn't know what the problem was. It was not until you graduated, and your job was not at home, that I realized that you wanted to escape from the family. My neglect hurt you. Dad Lin sniffed, and said with tears in his voice, I'm sorry. Lin Fan was shocked. She never thought that Dad Lin would apologize to her. Dad Lin was not the one who hurt her directly. He was just absent, watching, and staying away. He made her feel like she had a father, but also like she didn't have a father. Lin Fan thought she would have a lot of thoughts, but in the end there was only heavy bitterness. Her nose was sour, her eyes were sour, but there were no tears. My indulgence of your mother is a harm to you. I only discovered this fact after you got sick. Father Lin sniffed again, but I don't know what to do. I can only take your mother away and stay away from you. But, no matter how bad your mother is, she really misses you and loves you sincerely. I will always miss you. I'm afraid she will never change her temper until she dies. In the end, I can only let you down. Alas. Father Lin sighed. It's all my fault. I didn't protect you well. You were so cute and well behaved when you were a child. You were the baby in your father's hands. Father Lin said, while shaking his head. How did we lose you? After saying that, he actually cried woohoo. Lin Fan understood that in front of Father Lin, there was always Mother Lin's life hanging there. No matter what Mother Lin did, she would be forgiven in the end. So when Mother Lin drank the pesticide, the outcome of the matter was doomed. What can transcend life? Unless she died because of Mother Lin, then Mother Lin's life would be truly offset by Father Lin. But she is doing well now. There is no need to do stupid things for inexplicable revenge. So, forget it. Lin Fan sighed and said to Lin's father, "Dad, don't think about it. It's all in the past. Don't you think I'm fine now?" She pulled her hand out of her pocket, put it back, and finally didn't take it out, and put it on Lin's father. Yes, you are a completely different person when you come back this time. I feel like I see the old you. Lin's father quickly wiped away his tears and said with a smile, "Colleagues are good people and will accompany you back. They are actually bodyguards." Lin Fan decided to tell Lin's father part of the truth. What? Lin's father was stunned. Because I insisted on coming back, the unit sent me bodyguards to protect my safety. That's why they will always accompany me. Lin Fan was not lying. One of the reasons why Cui Yan gave them a holiday together was to protect Lin Fan. After all, Lin Fan was still in a very weak state. Father Lin opened his eyes wide, was stunned for a long time, and then said, "So that's how it is. That makes sense." The words they said at noon were fine to fool Mother Lin. Father Lin was an old businessman and thought it was strange. He chose not to ask because he trusted his daughter. "So you are very important now? I remember what you are developing?" Father Lin asked seriously, worried about his daughter's safety. "Yes, very important. I can't say what I'm developing, but I'm very important," Lin Fan said, "and my salary is not the 300,000 yuan I said before. Is it 1 million? Father Lin breathed a sigh of relief when you said that the boss regretted it. I felt it was a bit strange. But you didn't say it. Lin Fan was his beloved daughter. Since she didn't want to say it, then he didn't say it. Lin Fan realized that Father Lin was much smarter than she thought. It was 2 million when I first entered, and it seems to be more than 10 million now. Lin Fan didn't want to lie to the honest Father Lin about everything, so she told him some of the non-confidential parts to reassure him. What? Say it again. How much? Father Lin's eyes widened, suspecting that there was something wrong with his ears. It's 15 million per year at the moment, and I heard it will increase, but I don't know the exact amount, Lin Fan said calmly. She didn't feel anything about money at the moment. So you don't have to save it. I'm very rich now. Xiao Fan. Lin's father grabbed her arm and stared into her eyes. Tell me, is what you do safe? Is it harmful to your body? Is it illegal? Seeing Lin's father's reaction, Lin Fan felt comforted. He was still concerned about her at the first time. What I do is currently safe, and there is no obvious harm to the body. It's not illegal. I'm working for the military. Lin Fan looked back at Lin's father with a firm gaze. The two of them stared at each other for a long time before Lin's father believed that Lin Fan had not lied to him. I'm fine. I have money. I have a leisurely life. I'm almost recovered from my illness, and I'm surrounded by handsome guys, so don't worry, Lin Fan said with a casual look. Dad is not stupid. It's not that easy to get a salary of 10 million. You must have made some sacrifices. Don't lie to me. I know what's going on. Lin's father stopped Lin Fan from making excuses. Dad only wants to ask you one question. Are you happy now? Lin Fan thought about it. Was she happy in the past 6 months? She didn't know. She couldn't feel the emotion of happiness. But the pain, hard work, bruises, sweat, the calm Song Ren, the lively Li Chunhua, the innocent Gao Fei, the smart Jiu, the charming and insightful Jin Sichen, the cheerful Wu Yusen. Figures flashed in her mind one by one, and most of the memories were filled with smiles. Even though she didn't have real emotional perception, she felt that she was happier in the past 6 months than before. Well, I'm very happy, Lin Fan replied with a smile. Looking at Lin Fan's smile, Lin's father was finally relieved. He smiled, pulled Lin Fan's arm, and staggered back. As soon as the door opened, Lin's mother's familiar scolding came again. It's been so long, and you've sent people to the moon. Oh, the good mood is gone again. In fact, most parents love their children, but they just don't know how to let their children feel it. Few parents will apologize to their children. Father Lin has some responsibilities, but he is also a good father. Vote for Father Lin. Chapter 155 Going Out to Escape. On the morning of the first day of the Chinese New Year, no matter in the neighborhood or on the street, everywhere was empty. Song Ren and his group ran around the downstairs of the Lin family, and even after half an hour, they didn't see many people. Li Chunhua complained naggingly, saying that the new year without firecrackers felt like there was no new year at all, and it was cold and boring. His hometown is in the village, and during the new year, not only do they set off firecrackers, but they also compete to see who has more fireworks, and who has the highest fireworks. Don't even think about going to the city. Not only Gao Cheng bans fireworks, except for Li Chunhua's hometown, the hometowns of several others are in the city, and fireworks are also banned. Speaking of which, we were still happy when we were kids. Gao Fei said as he ran. I'm afraid the kids nowadays don't even know what firecrackers are. When they were young, they played in the mud, rolled marbles, and took pictures. It seems that the kids nowadays can only play with mobile phones. What are firecrackers? Jiu asked coldly. The kind of small white paper bag that you hold in your hand and throw on the ground to make a noise. Yeah, didn't you play with them when you were a kid? Gao Fei was curious. Although Jiu grew up in Gao, boys of the same age should have similar childhoods. No, Jiu spoke after a while. Our little Ji is smart and busy with study every day, so he has no time to play. Li Chunhua laughed and teased in front. Jiu thought of his childhood, when he was always busy with study classes, and his eyes dimmed. It's okay. I'll go to the grocery store to look for them later. If there are any, I'll buy a box for you to throw. Gao Fei patted Jiu on the shoulder and said with a smile. Jiu looked at Gao Fei's innocent smile like a high school student and laughed at himself for not being sad. He said unhappily, thank you very much. Why are you being polite, brother who sleeps on my upper bunk? Gao Fei pushed Jiu and ran away with a laugh. Jiu chased after him for 2 steps, but he couldn't catch up, so he ignored him and continued running. The 4 of them chatted and laughed, and after running a circle, Lin Fan didn't show up. I didn't sweat much, and there was no need to go back to the hotel to clean up. There were more and more pedestrians outside. Song Ren looked at the communicator and it was almost 8 o'clock. He was hesitating when to go up to Lin's house, and he heard someone shouting above his head. Hey, come up quickly, it's time for breakfast. It turned out that Lin Fan saw them at the window and called them directly. After calling them, Lin Fan opened the door and waited. After a while, several people came up. Happy New Year. Lin Fan stuffed a red envelope into each person and asked them to come in quickly. Everyone didn't expect to receive a red envelope, and they didn't react for a while. They pinched the red envelope and found it was very thin, so there should not be much money. Thinking about Lin Fan's balance, they all accepted it with peace of mind. Entering the house, they saw Lin's father and mother, and they said auspicious words again. Lin's mother was so happy that she took out the red envelopes she had prepared for a long time and distributed them to everyone. The red envelopes were prepared long ago, but after meeting a few people yesterday, 2 more red notes were stuffed into them. Especially Song Ren's. The thickness was visible to the naked eye. The group tried their best to refuse, saying that they were so old, who would still accept red envelopes. Lin Fan's was fine, but Lin Ma's red envelope looked like it was a lot of money, so they couldn't accept it. Take it. Lin Fan advised. Unmarried people here are considered children, and I have one too. As she spoke, she took out a red envelope thicker than this and showed it to everyone. With Lin Fan's words, the few people didn't refuse anymore. Anyway, they had spent a lot of Lin Fan's money along the way, and now it didn't matter. There was nothing special about breakfast, just buns and porridge, ordinary and plain. But it felt more warm than last night in the restaurant. Lin Ma was quite restrained at first, but as they ate, the topic drifted to Song Ren again. Lin Dad also thought Song Ren was good, but after knowing their true identities last night, he didn't think much about it. Even if Lin Fan wanted to have something with Xiao Song, it was not Lin Ma's matchmaking method. If they keep going like this, there will be no show. He quickly interrupted and asked everyone to go to the nearby water park for sightseeing. Water park. Lin Fan was a little hesitant. Why go to a water park in the middle of winter? It sounds so cold. Yes, it's a famous green wetland park built here. It's very famous. Lin's father happily introduced it to everyone. We have been there several times. The air is very good. There is also a zoo inside. In short, you can go there for fun. Open on the first day of the new year. Lin Fan didn't want to stay at home either, but most of the attractions she visited yesterday afternoon were closed, so she asked this question. It's open. There used to be a market on the first day of the new year, but now there is none. These attractions and shopping malls are the best time to welcome customers. Lin's father took out his mobile phone and showed Lin Fan the promotional notice. After confirming that it was open, Lin Fan asked for the opinions of several people. Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei, and Ji Yu all said that they had never seen a wetland park and wanted to go and see it. Song Ren also nodded, so the travel plan was decided. You guys take your time, it's very big, you can play for a whole day. Lin's father smiled meaningfully. Okay, if we can't finish the tour at noon, we won't come back for lunch. You two eat by yourselves. Lin Fan still remembered that there were not many dishes at home, and there would not be enough to eat when he came back. I'll go with you. Lin's mother interrupted from the side. She didn't want to leave Xiao Song for a moment now. What are you going to do? The children are having fun. Lin's father hurriedly stopped them. He asked a few people to go out and play just to avoid Lin's mother. How could he let her go with them? Why can't I go? I've been there several times. Can I be their tour guide? Lin's mother was unhappy. No, we can have fun on our own. We don't need a tour guide. Lin Fan refused. Don't join in the fun. Young children play together, and they have to distract themselves to take care of you. How can they have fun? Lin's father said again. His brows were already frowned, and if Lin's mother was not sensible, he would get angry. They are in their 40s. Even if they really want to match the two of them, what's the point of her following them? Lin's father sighed. Lin's mother suddenly came to her senses and said she would not follow. Her eyes lingered between Lin Fan and Song Ren with ambiguity, telling them to have a good time. Everyone pretended not to notice Lin's mother's expression, calmly finished their breakfast, and set off without stopping. Only when they walked a distance from the apartment building did Lee Chun-hua burst into laughter. The others also laughed. Okay, what's so funny? Song Ren glanced at Lin Fan, and seeing that she was still reckless and didn't care, he felt relieved. How about, boss, can you think about it? Lee Chun-hua boldly suggested. Consider what? Song Ren stood still and stared straight at Lee Chun-hua with a warning in his eyes that it was enough. Lee Chun-hua immediately shut up. Seeing that Lin Fan was also looking at him expressionlessly, he realized that some jokes were still not allowed. Everyone knew Lee Chun-hua's character, and no one cared about him. Lee Chun-hua shrank all the way, and finally let go of her nature when she entered the park. The wetland park is really beautiful, with tall meta-sequoia trees standing one by one, giving people the illusion of a pilgrimage. They walked on the plank road in the water, and rented a boat to wander in the river. They saw bonsai and animals. They also had a very expensive scenic spot meal in the park. Because it was the new year, many snack stalls were introduced to the scenic spot, and Lin Fan and his friends ate and walked along the way, having a great time. It was really happy, but it was also really cold. After all, it was a water park. When a few people came out and got into the car, they all shivered when they came into contact with the warm air blown by the air conditioner. The winter in the south is really too cold. It was a cold day to go to the park to play. Unfortunately, there were a few friends to accompany me. It was fun to be cold, otherwise I would have been frozen. Remember to vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Retention. When we got home, it was not dark yet, but it was past 4 o'clock. Mother Lin was nagging about playing outside too late. Okay, didn't you just come back from playing Mahjong all afternoon? Father Lin never understood why Mother Lin's nagging about these meaningless things would bring her any substantial benefit. She obviously wanted to go out with him in the morning. Mother Lin felt that she was embarrassed in front of Song Ren, so she rolled her eyes at Father Lin and helped prepare dinner. Seeing a pile of canned cold dishes on the table, Lin Fan couldn't help but ask, why are there so many cold dishes? It is normal to have cold dishes at a banquet, which can appropriately reduce the burden on the chef. But there are too many cold dishes in their family. There are 3 plates of canned sugar water alone, rambutan, yellow peach, and green plum. They are all poured directly from cans. There are also salted chicken, salted fish, salted goose, and salted meat, which are torn into pieces by hand and placed on the plate. Braised beef, braised pork, and crystal braised pork slices. There are 10 plates of these cold dishes alone. So many cold dishes, they look cold. Lin Fan looked at the syrup in the canned dish, then looked at the other dishes. There was no heat at all. It felt like not eating hot food in winter. The whole body was cold. What's cold? Isn't the air conditioner on? Lin's mother brought out a plate of braised chicken, put it on the table and said, look at Xiao Song. He doesn't have so many things to do as you do. Song Ren was called out for no reason, so he had to smile at Lin's mother. When they were guests at someone's house, they just had to eat something. Why were they so picky? There are so many cold dishes every year during the new year. It looks like a lot, but it's actually the same. Let's make to less in the future. Lin Fan said this sincerely. Although the salted chicken and salted duck were divided into 2 plates, there was really no difference in taste. Who said that? I knew you were bringing friends back this time, so I specially bought the latest canned green plums and braised pork, and they all said they were delicious. It can't be said that Lin's mother didn't put in any effort. She did make more preparations, but this preparation was completely different from what Lin Fan said. Seeing that Lin's mother was getting upset, Lin Fan did not dare to say much. After all, it was New Year's Day, so if they could avoid quarreling, they would. Lin's father served the dishes quickly. Braised beef with yellow sprouts was Lin Fan's favorite since he was a child, and the braised fish had been prepared long ago. There was also a dish of braised pork with pickled vegetables. Finally, he fried some water celery and ento. Come on, it's time to eat. Lin's father was busy in the kitchen, his face flushed. After the hot dishes were served, there was not enough room on the table. The 10 cold dishes had to be put together or stacked. Otherwise, there was no place to put the cups and bowls. Everyone said words of thanks, clinked glasses together, and had dinner in a lively atmosphere. The TV was playing a replay of last night's Spring Festival gala, with singing and dancing, and it was very lively. At the end of the meal, Lin's father suddenly asked, Xiao Fan is leaving tomorrow, right? Before Lin Fan could say anything, Lin's mother jumped up. What do you mean by leaving tomorrow? Tomorrow is only the 2nd day of the Chinese New Year. It's not easy for me to take leave and come back. Lin Fan knew that Lin's mother would be unhappy. Didn't we agree on this on the phone before? Lin's mother was happy at the time and didn't express any opinions. Why is he leaving? She started to get angry again. Who doesn't even finish the Chinese New Year? Lin's mother heard it at the time, but didn't take it to heart. In her worldview, how could you go back to work on the 2nd day of the Chinese New Year? The boss is at home for the Chinese New Year. I said I didn't have any leave at the beginning, but you forced me to come back. I'm coming back now, and it's inevitable that I'll stay for a short time. My colleagues can't go home for the Chinese New Year. What else are you dissatisfied with? Lin Fan also lost his patience. After these few days, in the Li family and the Gao family, she found that she didn't have the strong fear of Lin's mother as before. And Lin's mother was indeed pushing her too far. It was clearly agreed that she would leave on the 2nd day of the Chinese New Year, but now she suddenly got angry again. Although they were not really going back to work, everyone in GU's family knew that they would arrive tomorrow and were already prepared. How could they suddenly change their minds now? And with Lin's mother being like this, even if they stayed for another day, they would just be hiding. It really didn't make any sense whether they stayed or not. It's true, auntie. If we don't leave tomorrow, it will delay things. Seeing the anger rising on Lin's mother's face, Song Ren quickly interrupted. When Lin's mother heard this, she looked at Song Ren's smiling face and was embarrassed to get angry again. Lin's father quickly tried to smooth things over. Okay, wasn't it booked a long time ago? Why are you saying this now? Why didn't you say there was a problem earlier? Lin's father was reluctant to let Lin Fan go, but after revealing his true feelings to him yesterday, he thought it would be safer for the child to go back quickly. Besides, with Lin's mother around, Lin Fan would not be able to live in peace. She was smiling when she came back, but now she is unhappy. He still remembers it, and Lin Fan cannot be unhappy. Father Lin quickly thought of a solution. Didn't you say you were going to the movies tonight? Let's go after dinner. Lin Fan was stunned. When did they go to the movies? But when he saw Father Lin's eyes, he knew that he was giving them an excuse to leave. You just came back, and you're going out again. Why don't you stay home when you go home for the new year? Mother Lin was unhappy. She didn't realize at all that the root cause of her not being home was herself. Okay, young people, do you still want them to chat with you? Father Lin pulled Mother Lin's arm. Let them go out more to exchange feelings. Isn't it better than staying with us two old people? Mother Lin was not very happy at first, but after hearing the last part, she looked at the handsome Song Ren who was smiling at her, and said nothing. If they said they were going to the movies, then they were going to the movies. It has been a long time since everyone went to the cinema to watch a movie. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, there were several New Year's movies, which were dazzling. Several people ran to the cinema on the top floor of the mall, picked an action movie that looked good, bought a few buckets of popcorn and soda, booked a VIP viewing room, and watched the movie happily. Because there were only 5 of them, they didn't have to worry about others. Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei kept discussing the plot and actions, and Lin Fan didn't mind the chattering. Fortunately, they had a VIP membership. She thought, it's good to have money. This was her second thought. When they returned home in the evening, the car stopped at the door of the hotel. Song Ren sent Lin Fan home alone. The others didn't say anything, and went back to their rooms. What could happen in a distance of more than 400 meters? It was just that Song Ren was used to protecting Lin Fan, and was worried about her walking alone at night. In fact, with Lin Fan's current level, people who hadn't practiced would have no chance of success in her hands. But Song Ren still habitually sent Lin Fan to the entrance of the corridor, watched Lin Fan go upstairs, and entered the house before leaving. Hey, I saw it. As soon as Lin Fan entered the door, Lin's mother rushed over. Zio Song sent you back. Lin Fan didn't know what to say. She definitely couldn't tell the truth, and she didn't want to tell lies. Lin's mother didn't care, and continued to nag beside her. Zio Song must be interested in you. You'd better seize the opportunity. You are already 36. Okay, let the child rest for a while. She knows what's going on. Lin's father hurried up to pull him away. She knows what's going on. If she knew what's going on, she wouldn't be unmarried until today. Lin Fan closed the door, blocking Lin's mother's voice. This home. I really don't want to go back. The next morning, Lin's father tried to keep Lin Fan at the breakfast table, asking her if she could have lunch before leaving. In fact, if you count it, Lin Fan didn't stay at home for a long time. In order to avoid Lin's mother, she didn't even stay at Lee Chun-ho's house for as long as she did at home. Sister Lin, let's have lunch before we leave. Before Lin Fan refused, Ji-yu spoke first. Seeing Lin's father's reluctant eyes, Ji-yu took the initiative to ask for a while. Because Gao he had him and Jin Sichin, the budgeted time to stay was longer than that of others. Lin Fan had taken the initiative to squeeze out his own time for the 2 elders of the Gao family and stayed at the Gao family for 1 more day. It doesn't matter if we go to his house a little later. If Lin's mother wasn't such a jerk, they could actually leave tomorrow. And Ji-yu felt that with Lin's mother around, Lin Fan might have fewer opportunities to go home in the future than he did. Okay, let's finish lunch then. Lin Fan hesitated for a moment and accepted Ji-yu's kindness. She also knew that going home for the new year this time was actually quite ridiculous, and it was not the scene everyone imagined at all. But at lunch, when everyone thought it would be a warm farewell, something went wrong again. Having money is still willful. If Lin's mother knew that Lin Fan was so rich, her attitude would definitely be different. Well, everyone doesn't like Lin's mother, right? Vote for Lin Fan. Chapter 157, Head-on Confrontation. At the beginning of lunch, Lin's mother was still thinking about the upcoming separation. She kept picking food for Lin Fan and nagging about trivial matters. As they talked, the topic went off track again. She was either talking about which child had a second child, or which child was filial and stayed with his parents every day, or she was talking about which child was promising, had a good job, and had a high income. If it was just these, it would be fine. But every time Lin's mother finished talking about something, she would add a sentence at the end, "Not like you." She specifically mentioned Lin Fan, which made people feel very uncomfortable. Not to mention Lin Fan, even the 4 grown men who were listening felt very uncomfortable. Lin Fan began to listen silently, lowering his head to eat and not talking. Until Lin's mother got more and more excited, and a little carried away. Lin Fan put down his chopsticks, wiped his mouth, and suddenly said, "So how dissatisfied are you with me?" Lin's mother choked. She didn't expect that Lin Fan, who never said a word before, would suddenly confront her head on. Song Ren and several other guys were standing next to her, staring at Lin's mother eagerly, making her face blush. This damn child, in front of others, didn't give his mother any face. She said angrily, "Shouldn't I be dissatisfied with you? Look at you, we raised you up, except for your age and a body, what else don't we worry about?" Mother Lin was annoyed. But as the person closest to Lin Fan, it was too hurtful for her to say this. Song Ren and others frowned and put down their chopsticks, but they didn't dare to say anything. Seeing that no one refuted, Mother Lin was even more proud. "Look at them. Why do you always have to look at them? What do they have to do with your life?" Lin Fan spoke. She was compared with others by her mother since she was a child, and she still doesn't understand why she has to compare everything with others. Do they live with you? Do they give you money to spend? Do they call you mom? Lin Fan seriously questioned Mother Lin for the first time. They don't give you anything. Why do you always have to look at them? You are right. Lin's mother was furious and slammed down her chopsticks. They live better than you, and you can't say anything. Look at you, who is like you, almost 40 years old. Do you know what others say about you? You are an old maid that no one wants. Auntie, enough. The 4 people and Lin's father spoke together, but they couldn't stop Lin's mother from talking. No one has ever said to me that I'm an old maid that no one wants. Lin Fan's voice was very soft, and everyone could hear the tremor in it, but she still said firmly to Lin's mother, only you told me that I'm an old maid that no one wants." Compared with Lin's mother, who was furious, Lin Fan's silence made everyone feel distressed. "You say others have a promising future, but I don't have a promising future. I have a good job now, a high salary, and good benefits," Lin Fan said quietly, and Lin's mother interrupted him unconvinced. "What kind of success can you have with 300,000 yuan a year?" Lin's mother could not accept others refuting her, no matter what the facts were. 300,000 a year is not considered a success. Go outside and shout, which girl in the community can earn 300,000 a year? How many men are there? Lin Fan felt sad, but the earrings on her ears kept washing away her emotions, and her heart seemed to be empty instead. Lin's mother didn't say anything. In fact, 300,000 is not a small amount. She knew it in her heart. She was just used to rebutting. "Then why don't you get married at such an old age? Is not getting married what I want?" Lin Fan said, "When we broke up before, didn't you say that I was right to break up? Then you can't always not have a boyfriend." Lin's mother's emotions were no longer so excited, but she still didn't give in. "Why don't I have a boyfriend? Don't you know?" Lin Fan stared straight at Lin's mother, and the emotions in his eyes made Lin's mother dare not look directly at him, and she lowered her head to avoid him. Lin Fan was sick, they all knew it. Even when Lin Fan jumped into the river, Lin's mother was next to him. At that time, she was clearly regretting it heartbreakingly, and after Lin Fan was fine, she also vowed not to force the child again. How did she forget it again? I'm doing this for your own good." Lin's mother's tone weakened. "Is this what you mean by doing this for my own good? How did you treat my friends the first time they came to your house?" Lin Fan didn't want to easily expose the truth. "You like Song Ren so much, so I'll go with him to get the marriage certificate tomorrow. Do you think that's okay?" Everyone was shocked. Song Ren raised his eyebrows, but said nothing, sitting still, just looking at Lin's mother. I didn't mean that either. I still want you to live a good life. In front of the tough Lin Fan, Lin's mother suddenly became a little weak. You think that good? Is it what I want? Are you really happy with a life that only gives you pocket money? Lin Fan said the most unbearable thing for Lin's mother in recent years, and before she could get angry, he said, actually, I think you should feel lucky. What are you lucky for? Lin's mother was confused. If it weren't for good luck, today, you can only talk to me at my grave. Lin Fan said lightly. For a while, the table was silent. Lin's mother finally realized that Lin Fan was still a patient. She had been so seriously ill before. But seeing that everything was normal, when she came back this time, she forgot about it. Auntie, Lin Fan's illness is not cured yet. That's why we need to accompany her back. Song Ren said. Lin's mother was embarrassed and subconsciously wanted to refute, but Lin's father got angry. Okay, what do you want? When you were not back, you thought about it every day, and now that you are back, you keep making trouble again. Lin's mother couldn't bring herself to be embarrassed with Lin Fan and Song Ren, and she would not be polite to Lin's father. She threw the bowl, glared at Lin's father, rushed into the room, and slammed the door with a loud bang. There was another silence. I'm sorry, Dad. Lin Fan bowed his head first. Uncle, the psychologist said that in Lin Fan's case, if there are negative emotions, they should be expressed, and they can't be blocked in the heart and ferment. Song Ren helped to explain. I know. The psychologist also told us. Lin's father smiled bitterly. She also said that as long as Xianofan is better, she can even beat us with a stick to vent her emotions. But Xianofan, she can't do it. Now it's like this. It's okay, Uncle. Song Ren didn't know how to persuade. In fact, Lin's father has an unshakable responsibility for the current situation of Lin's mother. I'm sorry to make you laugh, we are not qualified parents. Lin's father waved his hand with his head down. You have not had a good impression these days, right? I hope there will be a chance to change your mind in the future. Several people said no. Okay, I think we have almost finished the meal. With the situation at home, I won't keep you. Otherwise, you can leave early. The dishes on the table were almost finished, and Lin's father began to drive the guests away. Everyone looked at the closed door, and Lin's mother was still angry inside. They really didn't feel like continuing to eat, and they all got up obediently. Lin's father sent them downstairs. The car drove downstairs and waited in the morning. Lin's father stood at the entrance of the corridor and gave Lin Fan a few more instructions. Lin Fan took the opportunity to help Lin's father pull his coat and put a card in his pocket. There is 1 million in it, and the password is your birthday. Keep it well. Lin's father was stunned and subconsciously reached out to hold it. Then he heard Lin Fan say again, I have money now, you don't have to save it. But be careful not to let mom get the money. Lin's father nodded. I know. You have to be careful when you are outside. Yeah, I will. But it may not be easy to come back in the future, you know. Lin Fan straightened Lin's father's clothes. Tell me if you have anything. Just send a message or call. Don't worry about the money. I know. You don't have to worry about us. Take good care of yourself. Lin's father shook Lin Fan's hand. Lin Fan nodded and turned to walk towards the car. Xianofan. Lin's father called, your mother loves you in her heart. Don't blame her. Lin Fan stood at the bottom of the steps, looked at Lin's father, and then looked at Lin's mother's head sticking out of the window on the 4th floor, nodded. I know. I don't blame her. Take care of yourself. After that, he got into the car. After a few people said goodbye to Lin's father, the car slid out. As the car moved away, Lee Chunhua and Gao Fei, who were lying on the back window and waving goodbye to Lin's father, saw Lin's mother at the window on the 4th floor. Lin Fan, Lee Chunhua called, your mom is seeing you off. Lin Fan looked out the window. Dad Lin at the stairs and Mom Lin at the 4th floor window were both watching the car leave without moving. I know. Lin Fan's eyes were a little blurry and his nose was a little sour. She is just a poor person who doesn't know how to love others. Mom Lin is like a hedgehog. When she gets close to others, she always hurts them. She actually loves Lin Fan in her heart, but most of the time, she cares more about her own feelings. Lin Fan has stood up from then on. This is the purpose of my arranging a trip for her. She is growing up. Vote for Lin Fan. Chapter 158 G Family. Because of what happened at noon, several people were a little unhappy. On the contrary, Lin Fan, perhaps because he was used to it, was the first to return to normal. Song Ren drove and entered Gao after more than 4 hours. On the second day of the Chinese New Year, there were not as many cars in Gao as usual, and the traffic on the road was relatively smooth. When they arrived downstairs of Ji-Yu's house, it was just dark. Ji-Yu's parents got the news and stood downstairs waiting for their son. They didn't know how long they waited. Dad, Mom. Ji-Yu got out of the car. Oh, my son is back. Ji's mother said happily. She was a middle-aged woman who dressed fashionably, with dignified curly hair, a thin figure, and fashionable clothes. She felt very elegant. Ji's father was also tall and thin, with a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and looked very gentle. The couple looked like high-level intellectuals at first glance. No wonder they could raise such a smart son like Ji-Yu. Uncle, aunt. Several people greeted the elders one after another. Ji-Yu also introduced his parents in a timely manner. Hurry up, go home first. Ji's father greeted everyone upstairs enthusiastically but not inappropriately. Ji-Yu's family is well off, and it is a high-rise with an elevator. In Gao, such an area and such a house are expensive. Entering the house is not big, with the same 3-bedroom and 1 living room structure, but it is much more compact than the Lin family. And unlike the local tyrant style of the Lin family, the decoration of Ji's family is full of the fragrance of books of intellectuals. When everyone sat down and chatted for a while, they found out that Ji-Yu's father is a university professor and his mother works in the cultural bureau. It is indeed a family of cultural knowledge. Look at Ji-Yu again, smart, gentle, and good at studying. It should be the way it is cultivated in such a family. I haven't seen so many pilots together. I specially accompanied my Xiaoyu home. Didn't it delay your work? Ji's father asked with a smile. For convenience, everyone used the same excuse, going home by the way when on a mission. So colleagues will come back together. Ji-Yu's transfer situation has not been told to his family, and he doesn't plan to tell. Let them mistakenly think that everyone is a pilot. It's because we have some free time and it's on the way, so we let Ji-Yu go home. It won't affect work. Song Ren spoke as a leader. Ji's mother served tea and sat on the armrest of Ji's father's sofa. Everyone, please don't be polite. Just treat it as your own home. For their arrival, Ji's mother specially bought a lot of Gao's famous pastries. Lin Fan had seen it, and it was very expensive. Several people didn't eat well at noon, and they didn't eat much on the way, so they didn't want to be polite when they heard this. Seeing that the pastries were quickly finished, Ji's mother hurriedly stopped them. Eat slowly, you have to eat dinner later, and you need to have an empty stomach. It's okay, Mom, they didn't eat well at noon. Ji-Yu also picked up 2 pieces of pastries and stuffed them into his mouth. You were delayed by the mission at noon, right? Ji's mother said distressedly. You've worked so hard. When Ji-Yu called home in the morning, he used the excuse of being delayed by the mission. So the family expressed understanding and support. But Lin Fan's matter was originally a mission, so it wasn't a lie. After filling his stomach, Li Chunhua finally felt energetic. He noticed that there were many certificates and trophies on the bookshelf, so he went to take a look. The more he looked, the more he saw. Hey, Ji-Yu, you are so great. No. Ji-Yu leaned on the sofa and didn't want to move. Ji's father stood up, approached Li Chunhua, and showed him Ji-Yu's achievements. I want to see it too. Gao Fei also walked over. Lin Fan was also interested, and even Song Ren stood up. Ji's father was accompanying the guests in front of the bookshelf, and only Ji-Yu was lying on the sofa without moving. You kid. Ji's mother nodded Ji-Yu's head. You don't know how to entertain your own friends. Where are you eating tonight? Today is the second day of the Chinese New Year. According to the Ji family's custom, they are going to have dinner with relatives in the hotel. Ji-Yu, who originally felt upset, thought about the scene at the Lin family's dinner table, and instantly felt that it was nothing. It's still the same hotel, but we've booked a big package. Ji's mother said to the people who sat back on the sofa one after another, I'm sorry to trouble everyone today. On the way, Ji-yu had already told them about this situation. As freeloaders, everyone said they didn't mind. Besides, can it be worse than Lin Fan's family? Well, not necessarily. Anyway, everyone has made up their minds that they will just eat when the time comes. Before leaving, Ji-yu returned to the room to take a shower and change clothes under the instructions of Ji's mother. The family of 3 had obviously dressed up seriously. It made Lin Fan and the other 3 feel that they were dressed too casually. However, time was tight and the Ji family said that there was no need to change clothes specially. They just followed the host's wishes and went for a casual meal. When they arrived at the restaurant box, there were already 6 or 7 people sitting inside. They were Ji-yu's aunt and younger aunt. On the second day of the Chinese New Year, back to her mother's house. Ji's mother and her 2 sisters have a meal together on this day every year. It's not easy for Xiaoyu to come back this year. Ji-yu's aunt said with a smile. I haven't seen Xiaoyu during the Chinese New Year for many years. Yes, I haven't seen Xiaoyu during the Chinese New Year in previous years. Auntie always misses you. Ji-yu's aunt also smiled. Quick, bring Kong Kong here and let Xiaoyu touch his head. Kong Kong is the grandson of the aunt's family. He was just over 5 months old. On weekdays, the aunt would never bring her precious grandson out to suffer the cold. This time, knowing that Ji-yu was back, she specially brought the baby out for dinner. Come on, Kong Kong is here. The aunt's daughter-in-law came over with the child. She had heard that this brother-in-law was a young genius. The old people said that letting a genius touch a child's head would make the child smart. She was happy too. Ji-yu casually touched the child's head and got a toothless smile. From childhood to adulthood, the children who let him touch their heads can open a school. I haven't seen how many of them are really smart, but there are still people who believe this. Not only that, after Ji-yu introduced Lin Fan and others to his family, the aunt actually asked them to touch their grandson's head one by one. After all, in the eyes of the aunt, so many pilots are the elite among the elites. Several people couldn't refuse, and they all went up to touch the child's head, feeling inexplicably funny. The child of the aunt's family is still young, a girl, and is in college. She is very curious about Lin Fan and keeps asking what the life of a female pilot is like. It's a ghost that Lin Fan knows. In the end, it was Ji-yu who stopped his cousin and said that it was a secret, so that everyone stopped their curiosity. Ji-yu's work couldn't be talked about, so the aunts and mothers started talking about other things. Ji's mother unconsciously began to show off Ji-yu. The aunt and the aunt didn't give in at all. Although their children were not as smart as Ji-yu, they were not bad in other aspects. So the meal became a big competition among their own children. Ji-yu, including his cousin and cousin, had no expression, as if they had long been accustomed to such daily competitions. The cousin's wife held Kong Kong and listened with interest. Lin Fan and the others ate and listened, and they also found it very interesting. Maybe it was because the 3 sisters of Jima had such a good relationship, or maybe it was because Ji-yu was too domineering. One could clearly hear the restrained comparison in the words of several people, but they didn't get angry at all, and the conversation became more and more lively. As a result, they talked about Lin Fan and Song Ren again. It was probably because middle-aged women are inevitably born with the instinct to be matchmakers. Especially Aunt Ji-yu, who has many children and grandchildren. It is the time of her life when she is proud of herself, and she wishes the whole world was happy. After learning that Lin Fan and Song Ren were both single, she wanted to be a matchmaker for them. Lin Fan was so scared that he dropped the food in his hand. It is so difficult for older single young people. Oh, this is a bad thing about older single young people. There are people everywhere who want to be matchmakers. Lin Fan was scared. Haha. Don't forget to vote. Chapter 159. Ji-yu without her childhood. After finally getting rid of the idea of my aunt acting as a matchmaker, I finished my meal peacefully. After sending Ji-yu home, the group found a hotel with parking nearby. Because Ji-yu's house was too small, and there was no need to squeeze in. After all, they had already stayed in a hotel in Gaocheng. During the New Year holidays, many people came to Gao to play, and many economy hotels had no vacancies. Rich woman Lin Fan generously booked a 4-star hotel not far from Ji-yu's house. She didn't stay in a 5-star hotel because there really wasn't one nearby and there was really no need. The next morning, Ji took the subway to the hotel to take a few people out to play. Gao, as one of the most famous tourist cities in China, still has many places to play. Li Chunhua and Gao Fei had never been there, and they were very excited. The group followed Ji on the subway, and after several transfers, they arrived at the Science and Technology Museum. The Science and Technology Museum in Gao is very magnificent, and the contents displayed inside are also very interesting. Although Gao and Li were a little disappointed at first, they were later attracted by various high-tech displays. After leaving the Science and Technology Museum, Ji took everyone to a more famous restaurant for dinner. After a short rest, he took everyone to the museum. Not to mention Li Chunhua, even Gao Fei was a little confused. They didn't say that the museum was bad. The various cultural relics and historical sites in the museum made them amazed, but this was not the same as what they imagined. I said, "Is this the fun place you mean?" Li Chunhua was really impatient to look at those wooden objects and wood carvings. When he came out of a venue and shuttled through the hall, he hooked Jiu's neck and asked in a low voice. Jiu seemed to have found something wrong. He looked at the unhappy expressions of everyone and felt a little embarrassed. "Is it not fun? I played in these places when I was a child. I thought it was very interesting. I thought you would like it too. It's not that it's boring, it's just..." Li Chunhua scratched his head, not knowing what to say. Most people travel to a strange place, either to see the scenery or to see the cultural facilities. It's rare to go to a city, to visit museums and study local culture. Lin Fan could understand what Li Chunhua meant. "Ah, really?" Jiu realized that he had done something wrong. "I'm sorry. When I was a kid, my family said they would take me out to play, and we would go to these places. Have you never been to those scenic spots?" Li Chunhua asked in surprise. There are so many places to play in Gao. Some people even say that, as long as you have money, you can play in a different Gao every day. As a native of Gao, Jiu would not have never played in the scenic spots in his hometown, right? I have been there, all of them. But when I went there, I had a task. For example, if I went to the seaside, I had to write an article about what I saw. If I went to the TV tower, I had to describe the structure and knowledge inside. Jiu recalled. "I think it's not as interesting as a museum. After all, there is no extra homework to go to museums and science and technology museums." The group stopped talking and didn't move forward. They just sat in the courtyard and chatted. "Was your family so strict when you were a child?" Gao Fei asked. "You are so smart, but why is it so strict? I feel that my childhood was wasted." So in Jiu's description, everyone knew his childhood. At first, he was no different from other children. After going to kindergarten, the teacher found that he reacted faster than other children. Thinking that the child was smarter, he told Jiu's parents. The educated parents immediately took Jiu to the hospital to test his IQ, and the result was unexpectedly high. Since then, Jiu's childhood has no pure play. Everything is to develop his intelligence. When others are playing, he has to study, and when others are studying, he has to learn more. Because Jiu is smart, his progress is obvious. Amid the praises of parents and teachers, his relationship with his peers is very ordinary. Everyone is accustomed to putting Jiu up as a role model, and how can children with obviously lower IQ like him? Gradually, Jiu got used to coming and going alone, and became a lonely little genius. Classmates said that he was withdrawn, and said that he was cold, but he didn't care. Only when he conquered one difficult problem after another in his studies, he seemed to get real happiness. Because of Jiu's withdrawal, Ji's parents, who originally wanted him to enter the junior class, listened to the advice of a psychologist. For his mental health, he still let him follow the life path of a normal child, without skipping grades, and went all the way to high school. But just when his family had planned a study abroad program for him at a famous foreign university, he turned around and applied to the aviation college. This was the first time that Jiu did not follow his family's will and made his own choice. Ji's parents were of course unhappy, but they were high-level intellectuals and did not get too angry about their child's late rebellion. Moreover, aviation college is a top-notch institution in China, and those who can enter are all outstanding. There was nothing wrong with GU's admission to aviation college, but it was just inconsistent with the path they had originally planned. Because of GU's own persistence, and because the school was indeed impeccable, the status of a pilot was not much less valuable than that of a financial economist. G's family quickly accepted the reality, and happily sent GU to school. After entering college, GU worked harder and harder in a brand new field. After overcoming one academic barrier after another, he quickly completed his undergraduate degree, and continued to study for a master's degree. Finally, he rebelled again in one document after another. He ignored his mentor's advice to stay for a doctorate, and went straight to the flight base. You are actually a master's degree. Gao Fei always thought that GU was just smart, but he didn't expect that at the same age, his academic qualifications were so much higher than his. Okay, you are all educated people. But is the point about academic qualifications? Li Chunhe, who only has a high school education, felt a little hurt in her self-esteem. Isn't it that the point is that GU didn't have a childhood? I had a childhood. GU said seriously. I know you did. I mean, your childhood was not a childhood where ordinary children played and had fun. Your childhood was spent studying. This is not equivalent to having no childhood. Li Chunhe retorted. GU didn't say anything. When he was very young, he realized that other children were different from him. They didn't do homework, didn't study, and played downstairs every day. When he grew up, he realized that the one who was different was himself. But no matter how smart he was still a child, and didn't know how to resist. The only time was when he applied for hangfei. He felt that he had finally gotten rid of the string held by his family, and was no longer a beautiful kite. He had never experienced the childhood of other children. He also knew that his childhood was missing a lot of things. But today, what's the use of saying that? GU is already the GU he is now. If it weren't for his previous experience, GU today would not have been able to join the 623 team and touch the most advanced technology. Looking at Li Chunhe, who was still mumbling to a few people about his difficult childhood, Gao Fei with a sympathetic look on his face, Lin Fan who looked at them with a smile, and Song Ren who told Li Chunhe to shut up with a smile. GU felt that if a boring childhood could be exchanged for today's encounter, he would be willing to do so again. Remembering and mourning. It was posted on time in the morning and cannot be withdrawn. This is the only chapter today. GU is also a poor child. He had no fun when he was a child because he was too smart. Vote for GU, the child who had no childhood. Chapter 160 Class Reunion. Although the museum tour was not to everyone's liking, but since they were here, they still finished the museum with the mentality of experiencing GU's childhood. Moreover, because of GU's previous narration, Li Chunhe insisted on going home with him to see his childhood photos. GU naturally did not stop him, and took the group back to their residence. GU. Just as they were about to enter the community, they heard someone calling him. Everyone turned around, and saw a young man running from a distance. GU, it's really you. The man ran a little out of breath, and stopped in front of GU, smiling brightly. Do you still remember me? I do. GU certainly remembered that the man was his high school monitor. Where are your glasses? He remembered that the monitor wore thick myopic glasses and always looked like a good old man. Ah, I had laser removal 2 years ago. The monitor scratched the corner of his eye. Is it okay if I don't wear glasses? Not bad. GU nodded. The monitor looked a little rustic when he wore glasses. After taking off his glasses, he was a little handsome. Didn't you take the aviation exam? Are you a pilot now? It's rare to see you after graduation. It's rare to meet an old classmate, and the monitor asked about his recent situation. Well, I don't have much vacation after work. You know the nature of our unit. GU also had a good impression of the monitor, and continued to greet him. Oh, I understand. Serving the people. The monitor smiled even more happily. By the way, there is a class reunion tonight. Are you coming? Class reunion? Everyone looked at GU. Class reunion? GU was stunned. He didn't seem to have any friendship with his classmates. I have friends to entertain, so I won't go. Oh, go ahead. The class beauty mentioned you before, saying that she couldn't find you every year, but now she met you on the road, didn't she? So when the monitor saw GU, he was very surprised. You can take your friends with you. They are all young people, and it's lively with more people. The monitor kept persuading GU, and GU didn't know how to resist such enthusiasm. After asking several people around him, no one objected, and he agreed. The monitor left the time and address and left happily. GU was still standing there, wondering if he shouldn't take Lin Fan and the others to the class reunion. Just go. Lin Fan saw his hesitation and advised, it's just a meal, you can still eat it. What's wrong with us? GU thought about it, and didn't think about it anymore. He took the others home, to look at the photos. The reunion venue was in a shopping mall. When GU led everyone there, most of the people in the box were already there. Ah, GU is here. The class monitor was the first to notice that someone had arrived, and happily announced to the others, oh my, our great genius is here. This remark, whether in meaning or tone, revealed unfriendly. GU frowned slightly, and didn't want to go in. As a result, he was pulled in by the class monitor. Hurry up, didn't you say GU couldn't come in previous years? Today I brought him here. The class monitor didn't seem to have heard what he said before, and said to the others with a smile, oh, thank you so much, class monitor. Many female classmates spoke up. Lin Fan and the others entered. The addition of several handsome guys caused another round of exclamations from the female classmates. The monitor said that GU would bring a few friends with him, but I didn't expect him to be so handsome. There weren't many people in the box, only about 10 people, half male and half female. Because of the arrival of GU and his friends, the topic naturally shifted to a few people. Soon, a classmate was unhappy and spoke in a sarcastic tone. GU was not stupid, so he could naturally hear it. He quickly shifted the topic and asked everyone not to pay too much attention to him. Dinner officially began. It was inevitable to chat while eating and drinking. As they talked, the classmates began to talk about their recent situation. Some complained about their bosses, some complained about their parents, some talked about gossip, and some young men boasted. It's normal for young people to show off. As they talked, comparison was inevitable. A male classmate kept showing off himself, saying that he had just jumped into a Fortune 500 company. How good the salary and benefits are, how great the company conditions are. From the sound, it was the person who was sarcastic at the beginning. He said just say it, and he kept staring at GU. It seemed as if he was talking to GU. A female classmate couldn't stand his complacency and said something to him, saying that GU was so capable, but he wasn't as proud as him. But he laughed instead. What is there for GU to be proud of? Yes, he had good grades in school, but now, you asked him how his work was going. Did he say anything? Before, the classmates asked a lot of questions about the military, and GU naturally couldn't say anything, so no one knew much. You can say it's confidential, but if he made it up, it's not impossible. Anyway, no one knows. He's just keeping a low profile. Do you think they are all like you? The female classmate was unhappy. I don't know if it was because she had a crush on GU back then, or if she was simply unhappy about being humiliated. Don't quarrel. We are all classmates. The class monitor hurried to mediate. Others also advised. GU also spoke out to dissuade him. Why didn't he, the person involved, say anything, but the others started quarreling instead? Sure enough, Lin Fan and Lee Chun-ho exchanged glances. They knew that there would be something wrong at the class reunion. GU, you too. You're not a man, if you let a girl speak. The man probably drank too much, and with the recent smooth work and the flattery of his former classmates, he was a little carried away. What's wrong with me? GU felt that it was a mistake to agree to come today. Such an occasion is really uncomfortable, especially with Lin Fan. Looking back, Lin Fan and Lee Chun-ho were looking at each other. Well, he was overthinking. Lin Fan is no longer as fragile as before. How many people paid attention to you when you were in school? You had good grades, you were handsome, teachers liked you, and even female classmates liked you. The man must have been depressed for a long time and took this opportunity to vent. Now, how much do you make a year? Is it as much as me? How much do you make a year? Ji asked lightly. 500,000. The man was very proud. To be fair, a 27-year-old young man who has just graduated for 3 or 4 years and entered a Fortune 500 company, such a salary and benefits are considered very good. It's good. Ji did not want to intensify the conflict. I'm telling you, if you don't make much, 200,000 or 300,000 a year, you might as well change your career. When the man saw Ji's answer, he thought that he didn't make much, just as he thought. Come to me, I'll help you for the sake of our classmate. Enough. The class monitor and other classmates found that he was getting more and more outrageous and hurried to stop him. And your friends. The man was actually happy and couldn't stop his momentum. You were so cold and arrogant in school, how could you make any friends? Look at what you're wearing. You look so poor. You even come to the class reunion to eat for free. Have you never eaten such a high-end banquet? Ji's expression changed. It doesn't matter what you say about him. But it's absolutely not okay to say Lin Fan and the others. Drink less alcohol, or you'll get drunk. Ji doesn't want to quarrel, but someone is going too far. Voting ballot. Chapter 161 Reporting the balance. Not only Ji's face changed, but also Lee Chunhua, Gao Fei, Song Ren, and Ji's classmates. They were pulled here temporarily, and they didn't pay special attention to their clothes. They were all casual, focusing on comfort and convenience. Lin Fan was wearing the one she bought at Guangdong Shopping Mall. Although it was the latest model, it was not particularly fashionable and Gao. Song Ren and his friends didn't have new clothes, but the ones they wore were bought in the past 2 years, and the price was not cheap. Because they didn't wear them on a regular basis, they were still brand new, so they were definitely not poor. If you really want to find fault, you can only say that they don't keep up with the current fashion and are not so bright. Lee Chunhua was about to get angry, but Lin Fan spoke first. That kid. Lin Fan was unhappy, but she didn't show anger. She had a faint expression, leaning back in the chair, with her arms around her chest. Her voice was not deliberately raised, but because no one was talking, it was very clear. Lin Fan's voice has never been that kind of shrill female voice. Her voice is a little low and a little light. Song Ren and the others didn't know if it was because they knew she was sick, so they had a preconceived notion about her. They always felt that when she spoke, as long as she didn't express a very obvious happy emotion, it always sounded a little sad. Lin Fan spoke now, without a clear direction, but everyone knew who he was calling. Lee Chunhua slapped the table hard with a bang, making the cups and plates on the table make a crisp sound. I'm sorry, everyone. He's drunk too much. The squad leader hurried out to smooth things over. The man was originally frightened by Lee Chunhua's actions, but he sobered up a little and remembered their identities, so he was no longer afraid. How could they still beat him? As long as they made a move, he would report it. But even thinking about this, he was still afraid in his heart. After all, several people took off their clothes in the box, and their muscular bodies were still intimidating. He took out his mobile phone, ready to record evidence to protect himself. Don't be afraid, we won't cause trouble. Lin Fan glanced at the squad leader soothingly. The monitor clearly saw her smiling at him lightly, but that emotionless look, somehow, made him dare not continue to speak. They were all in their 20s, just entering the society, and being beaten and destroyed by the social animals, and they were no longer as brave as they were in their student days. And it seems that they are still in a relatively peaceful stage of verbal attacks, and have not escalated to the point where they are difficult to control. That kid. Lin Fan didn't mind the man taking out his mobile phone to record, and continued lightly, you just said, how much is your annual salary? Lin Fan has been struggling in the society for so many years, and has come into contact with more difficult people than Song Ren. When she is tough, her momentum is not weak. Not only Ji's classmates, but even Jiu and others, unexpectedly discovered that Lin Fan has such a strong side. It is very much like a big boss of the company, full of oppression, making people feel that they are all her subordinates, and they can't help but want to bow their heads in admiration. The person holding the mobile phone was shocked and regretful, and looking at Jiu's face, that was no longer calm, he felt happy. Why are you asking me how much my annual salary is? He held the phone to Lin Fan and sneered, will you give it to me? He looked at Lin Fan's clothes in a deliberately critical manner and sneered again. Can you afford it? Lee Chun-hua almost jumped up. What the hell? What kind of look is that? How can he look at Lin Fan? Song Ren was quick to hold him down. Looking at Lin Fan again, he didn't even raise an eyebrow and allowed the other party to provoke him. The two compared. The other party looked like a jumping clown. Sister Lin, his annual salary is 500,000. GU didn't want Lin Fan's words to be in vain, so he took the initiative to answer. Does it mean to earn 500,000 a year? Did I understand it correctly? Lin Fan turned his head and asked GU slowly. GU nodded and said yes. No one else in the box dared to speak, not knowing what was going on now. It seemed that there was no quarrel, but the atmosphere did look a little tense. What's wrong with 500,000 a year? Can GU earn 500,000? The man seemed to be more confident after mentioning the money, and he mocked, don't think bluffing works. I've seen many people like you who want to bluff people with a few words. I admit that you pretend to be serious, but that's it. He had figured out what Lin Fan wanted to do, which was nothing more than talking big to save GU's face. He would not give GU this opportunity. That's enough. The class monitor didn't dare to stop Lin Fan, so he had to stop his classmates. We are classmates. Why are you saying such excessive things? That's right. You just got into a good company. There's no need to be like this, right? Forget it. Don't say it. We are all classmates. Other classmates also tried to persuade him to make peace. GU never said a word. But the man thought he had acquiesced and was even more proud. When he wanted to speak again, Lin Fan spoke again. You know, GU and I are colleagues in the same group, doing the same work. Lin Fan also took out his mobile phone indifferently. He has noble sentiments and wants to save face for his classmates. I'm vulgar and don't want people to think that I have no money and am a poor person who comes to eat for free. The classmates who tried to persuade them to stop fighting were too embarrassed to speak. She slowly tapped her mobile phone a few times, and then a voice came from the phone. Hello, XX Bank customer service phone number. She actually dialed the bank's number and put it on speaker so that everyone could hear it. What did she want to do? Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Following the prompt tone, Lin Fan made several operations, and finally the voice of the manual customer service came from the phone. Hello, respected VIP cardholder Ms. Lin. May I ask how I can help you? That voice was much more enthusiastic than the voice of ordinary customer service. I want to check the balance, Lin Fan said indifferently while looking at the phone. Okay, Ms. Lin. The customer service first agreed and then asked her to perform a series of operations to verify her identity and then happily reported, Ms. Lin, thank you for your patience. Your current account balance is 18,560,470. Huh. Lin Fan didn't react at once and subconsciously said, why did it increase? The customer service heard it on the phone and hurriedly said, it shows here that you have 2 recent deposits. Salary. GU gently reminded on the side. Oh, right. Lin Fan just remembered that the salary for January was paid just before the Chinese New Year. She has been swiping her card recently and she has received a lot of text messages, so she didn't check the balance carefully. When GU's classmates heard the balance, no one spoke. They stared blankly at the male classmate who was showing off before. The mobile phone he was holding in his hand, which was recording, was already crooked. Are there any deposit details? Lin Fan glanced at the dazed young man opposite. Well, this is exactly the effect she wanted. After another round of operations, the customer service reported January salary plus benefits are 1.8 million and the year-end benefits are 3 million. Wow. The classmates thought that more than 10 million was accumulated over many years, but they didn't expect that there would be so much in 1 month, and the year-end benefits were also high. She said that GU was her colleague, so GU's income would not be much less, right? Yes, not everyone likes to show off their income. Everyone looked at GU, who was still cold and indifferent, as if nothing had happened. Quietly added some water to the woman who was speaking. The classmate who showed off his annual salary of 500,000 didn't know when his mobile phone fell on the table, and the whole person shrank his head and didn't speak. Is this the first time Lin Fan has been slapped in the face? Well, according to her personality, it's like this. She just lays out the facts lightly and makes people feel ashamed of themselves. It's good to be rich. Don't forget to vote. Chapter 162 Dress Up. I've always known that you should pay respect to the clothes first and then to the person. It's our fault. We suddenly came to participate in your activities and were in a hurry, so we didn't pay attention to our clothes. Lin Fan took a sip of water and said, No, Sister Lin, you are joking. The class monitor and classmates waved their hands quickly. Call the waiter. Lin Fan said. The classmates were still in a daze. Lee Chun-hua stood up, walked out of the private room, and called the waiter in. Bring the bill for today's table. I'll settle the bill in advance. Lin Fan didn't want to be known as a freeloader, but they did eat, so they just paid for the whole table. Anyway, they didn't need to pay this little money. No need, sister. The classmates stopped him one after another. Don't be polite. Just treat it as my first time meeting you all, and apologize for the unpleasantness. Lin Fan was so good at being a person. She smiled and swiped the card. It wasn't much, just over 3,000 per table. Fortunately, she has a lot of money now. Well, it's good to have a lot of money. She has been feeling more and more that it's convenient to have a lot of money recently. After the bill was paid, there was no need to stay any longer. As she stood up, several others followed. Lin Fan put on his clothes and said to the other classmates with a smile, we won't disturb everyone's dinner. We have something else to do, so we'll leave first. It was not good to keep them, and it was not good not to keep them. After sending them out, no one spoke in the box for a while. Seeing that the food on the table was not even half finished, the arrogant person just now was sitting on the chair with it. The class monitor couldn't help but get angry. You, what can I say about you? Now it's good. Not only are they not poor, but they are also very rich. They can afford to pay you, but they can't pay you. Others didn't want to pay attention to that person, and they discussed Lin Fan's dashing attitude just now. Slowly, the topic returned to GU. Lin Fan led a few people out of the restaurant and began to wander around. They hadn't eaten yet. GU was overwhelmed by Lin Fan's protection. He had no peers to get close to since he was a child. Even his cousins kept their distance from him because he was too outstanding. Because of the label of genius, he gained a lot, but also lost a lot. But aloofness and arrogance seem to have always followed him. G's parents have always encouraged him to solve his own problems. He has never been protected by others like this. I have to say, this feeling is really good. I'm sorry. In the elevator, GU apologized. What are you apologizing for? Lin Fan asked him with a smile. GU was speechless for a moment. Oh, everyone knows that it has nothing to do with you. Lee Chun-hua patted GU's shoulder and laughed. Yeah, it has nothing to do with you. Someone else should apologize. Gao Fei saw GU bow his head for the first time, but it was not what he wanted, because he lost to him in business. Okay, don't waste your mood for irrelevant people. Lin Fan thought the most open-minded. Let's think about what to eat later. Let's have a buffet, Lee Chun-hua suggested. Buffets are large in quantity, cost-effective and convenient. Okay, then let's go find a buffet. GU, is there a buffet restaurant here? Everyone kept silent about the previous unpleasantness, as if nothing had happened. GU felt warmed, and his previously cold face was also covered with a faint smile, and the atmosphere of fireworks suddenly became much stronger. Partners. He hurriedly stepped forward and introduced familiar restaurants to everyone, and the group left in a lively manner. After a satisfying and pleasant night, when GU said goodbye to everyone in the hotel, he made an appointment to meet tomorrow, but was rejected. Just stay at home with your parents for a day. How can you stay away from home all day? Lin Fan said considerately. Yes, your parents waited for you downstairs for so long yesterday, they must have always wanted to stay with you. Don't accompany us. Stay at home with your parents. Lee Chun-hua agreed. Yes, it's a rare trip home. What's the matter with not seeing you all the time? Gao Fei nodded in agreement. But, GU felt it was not good to leave the guests behind. Okay, Lin Fan has been in Gao for so many years, and he may know more than you. You stay at home with your family for a day tomorrow. Song Ren spoke to define the matter. Ji-yu had to agree. His partners are really good. He walked out of the hotel door with a smile. When he turned around, he saw the 4 people in the lobby talking excitedly, probably discussing what to do tomorrow. In an instant, Ji-yu had another question in his heart. Do they really just want me to go home, to reunite with my parents? Back in the room, Lin Fan took a shower and lay on the bed watching TV. But the scene when Ji-yu disliked her for being poor suddenly emerged in her mind. She tossed and turned, and the more she thought about it, the more unhappy she became. Her eyes glanced at the 2 large sacks full of clothes, shoes, and bags and the 28-inch suitcase in the corner. Oh, who doesn't know how to dress up? Lin Fan got up from the bed and ran to the luggage to search. The next morning, the dressed up Lin Fan stunned everyone. She was wearing a navy blue slim cashmere trench coat, which was open, revealing the rainbow colored mohair close-fitting sweater and the calf-length woolen waisted long skirt inside. She was wearing a pair of mid-tube thick-heeled riding boots on her feet. The boot shaft was embroidered with retro embroidery. There was a similar embroidery pattern on the crossbody saddlebag. They looked like a set. Lin Fan rarely combed her hair up into a high ponytail. There was also a unique earring hanging on the middle ear hole of her left ear. If it weren't for the fact that her face hadn't changed, several people would have almost not recognized her. You know, Lin Fan had never dressed up when she appeared in front of them. Not to mention, when she first went to 800, she was wearing a loose t-shirt and flip-flops. It might be inappropriate to say that she was sloppy, but she was definitely unkempt. Lee Chun-hua had complained about Lin Fan at the beginning, asking how a woman could be so untidy. Later, she found out that she was sick, and after a long time, they got used to getting along with each other. Even after Lin Fan lost weight, she always wore the clothes of the reserve team, and she didn't pay much attention to anything. Even when she bought clothes in Guangdong, she picked those loose clothes with unobtrusive colors. Lee Chun-hua didn't say it, but she felt that Lin Fan must be the kind of person who couldn't dress up unexpectedly. How is it? Seeing several people stunned on the spot, Lin Fan had to speak up to ease the embarrassment. Very good, Song Ren said with a smile. Lin Fan was not ugly to begin with. After she lost weight, her limbs became slender. She looked more powerful than the simple thin body. Her face was not ugly either. It was just not the kind of beautiful face that amazed people at first sight. But it was the type that became more attractive the more you looked at it. When Lin Fan's face was no longer sad, and even when she smiled, her whole body seemed to be glowing, and everyone who saw her could be infected by her emotions. Very good looking. Lee Chun-hua could see that what she was wearing was not the current fashion in the mall, but it was still very good looking. Is it retro style? Gao Fei didn't quite understand these things. Classic style. Lin Fan looked at her clothes. After all, they are all old clothes. Fortunately, what I bought were all classic styles. After so many years, even if they are not fashionable, they are not tacky. Fashion is a circle. This sentence is absolutely true. Classics will never go out of style, but excessive pursuit of fashion will be easily eliminated. Why do I feel like something is not right? Lee Chun-hua rubbed her chin and expressed her opinion. Where? Lin Fan turned around in front of the 3 people. She didn't think there was anything wrong. Macup? Song Ren said. Yes. You don't have any macup. Lee Chun-hua clapped her hands. Lin Fan is actually quite fair, and it's okay if she looks casual at ordinary times. After dressing up like this today, her face looks a little plain. I don't have any macup either. The previous ones expired and were thrown away. Lin Fan shrugged. Come on. I know there's a macup counter in the mall. Let's go. Lee Chun-hua grabbed Lin Fan's arm and was more excited than her. Hey, Lee Chun-hua. Lin Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy. There's actually a pink girl living in her heart, right? Lin Fan started to care about dressing up. Well, she has started to change. Great. Please vote for Lin Fan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Macup. Lee Chun-ho was not able to take Lin Fan to get her Macup done as she wished because the big shopping mall in Gao didn't open until 10 o'clock and it was only a little after 8 o'clock when they went out. Lin Fan looked at Lee Chun-ho with a look of regret and didn't know what to say to him. First, take the subway and take the three of them to the famous Qinghuan Temple pedestrian street where they lined up to eat the famous Xiaolongbao for breakfast. Then stroll around inside, looking at the various folk shops and special snacks. Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei were smiling. This is the kind of trip they want. There are many new things on the pedestrian street, both domestic and foreign. How can I describe it as dazzling? Lee Chun-ho saw a shop selling silver jewelry, and thinking of the child who was about to be born, she suddenly wanted to buy a silver lock. When she came out, she not only bought a silver lock, but also carried a bag of silver bracelets, silver bells, silver chopsticks, and silver bowls in her hands. They were all gifts from Lin Fan and his friends as godparents. Lin Fan also took the lead and helped Gu advance the money for a gift. They were all things worth 1,800 yuan, and if he was there, he would definitely agree to buy them. Just when Lin Fan thought that Lee Chun-ho, the prospective father, was already immersed in the longing for the newborn, he turned his gun back and mentioned the matter of going to the mall to put on Macup. Song Ren and Gao Fei laughed on the side, watching the fun, and did not stop him at all. Okay, let's go. Are you afraid, or what? Lin Fan pouted. It seems that, if he doesn't satisfy Lee Chun-ho's wish, he won't be able to settle down in the future. The four of them took the subway again and arrived at Gao's most famous shopping mall. From the subway, there is no need to exit the station, and there is a special passage leading directly to the entrance of the mall. Pushing open the glass door of the mall, a gust of fragrant wind came towards them. What's the smell? Lee Chun-ho sniffed and asked. It smells strange. It's the smell of perfume and cosmetics. Lin Fan is more familiar with these shopping malls and explained to him, there are some cosmetics counters on the first floor, so the fragrance will be sent over with the warm wind. What are you waiting for? Hurry up. Isn't this exactly what Lee Chun-ho wants? He took Lin Fan's arm again and walked forward impatiently. Not far away, we saw a small house-shaped booth covered with sparkling diamonds in the atrium in front. The small house and the booth were decorated with black glass walls, and the white parts were all covered with sparkling diamonds. Some bottles and jars of cosmetics were displayed outside the small house. There was only one entrance and exit in the house, and the dressing table inside could be vaguely seen from the outside, but it was not completely clear. Is this a cosmetics store? Lee Chun-ho asked as she took Lin Fan closer. Is this a good brand of cosmetics? Lee Chun-ho didn't know much about the brand, but she knew to ask if it was a good brand. Lin Fan took a look at the shiny sign and answered hesitantly, is it? She had never used it before. Lee Chun-ho got the answer and pulled Lin Fan in directly. The beautiful salesgirl glanced at the two people's clothes with reserve. Seeing Lin Fan's dress, although it was not expensive, he should have some purchasing power. At least he could buy a lipstick for 400 yuan, right? Anyway, there were no customers at the moment, so she served them with a smile. Captain Song, why do I remember that brand seems to be a luxury product? Gao Fei looked at the brand letter starting with D and said uncertainly, yes, it is a luxury product. Song Ren patted Gao Fei on the shoulder, but don't worry, your sister can afford it. They all remembered Jin Sichen's task of asking Lin Fan to spend more money along the way, except for the 800 yuan he just spent to buy some clothes in Guang'an. Later, it was just food, accommodation, and transportation, and Lin Fan didn't spend much money on herself. Anyway, the money in her card is enough to buy a house in Gao, not to mention these cosmetics. Gao Fei also put away his worries and smiled and went over. On the other side, after Lee Chun-ho raised the need for Macup, the saleswoman told her that she needed to buy products to complete the Macup. Lee Chun-ho nodded readily, and she was about to take people into the cabin. As a result, two more handsome guys came in, and the saleswoman's eyes lit up. Gentlemen. The saleswoman hurriedly greeted them. We are together. Song Ren gestured to Lin Fan and the others. Oh, okay, please come this way. The saleswoman invited them into the cabin more enthusiastically. The sales girls inside couldn't help but stare at the sight of several handsome men coming in at once. One careless mistake made Lin Fan left aside. "Madam, please take a seat." Seeing that the sales girls left the real customers behind, the sales boy, who was quite unhappy, hurried to greet them. It was the first time for Lin Fan to meet a sales boy. The exquisite Macup and the perfect smile gave her a refreshing experience. "Madam, what kind of Macup do you want today?" The small room was not big. When Lee Chun-ho was talking outside, everyone inside could hear clearly and knew that it was Lin Fan who wanted to put on Macup. It was not his turn to start, but who knew that these handsome companions would pull all the sales girls' hearts away. The sales boy glanced over there. Although he was a little unhappy, he still had to admit that the three over there were indeed rare handsome men. The sales girl who brought them in served tea at the right time. "Madam, can you tell me the feeling of the Macup you want?" After saying that, he glanced over to Song Ren. "Who will do my Macup?" Lin Fan asked worriedly when she saw her looking at Song Ren. "Our staff are all trained in technology. You can choose anyone to do your Macup." The sales girl smiled and said to her, "You can choose me." Lin Fan looked at several sales girls, and it was obvious that her heart was drifting to the handsome guy. She pointed to the only sales boy who was not distracted and said, "Then let's go with him." The sales girl didn't think much about it. Many female customers like the service of male sales boys. She smiled and stepped aside, thinking about whether to find another opportunity to talk to the handsome guy at WeChat or something. The sales boy was very happy because he would get a share of the sales performance after the Macup was done by him. Instead of watching a group of young girls going crazy over handsome guys, it would be better to do something and make some money. He showed his enthusiasm and asked Lin Fan again what kind of Macup she wanted. The answer he got was casual. Well, it can be seen that he is a casual customer. The sales boys also come into contact with a lot of people every day, and they can probably figure out the personality of the customers. Customers like Lin Fan give them more room to play. He took a look at Lin Fan's outfit and her facial features. He quickly applied a grand Macup on her. Overall, it enhanced the three-dimensionality of her facial contours. He focused on the eyes. He applied light smoky eyeshadow and slightly upturned brown eyeliner, which gave Lin Fan's almond eyes a different look. Lee Chun-ho couldn't help but mutter when she watched from behind. Lin Fan glanced at him in the mirror, and Lee Chun-ho was speechless at the time. For some reason, Lee Chun-ho felt charmed from that glance. The salesman chose a relatively red matte lipstick for Lin Fan. Finally, he took off her ponytail and used a curling iron to curl her hair into a disposable big wave. After half an hour of polishing, the refreshing Lin Fan turned into a slightly charming queen. When she saw Song Ren and Gao Fen's stunned expressions, the corners of her lips slightly raised, her eyes slightly narrowed, and with the big waves of her hair, the charm of a mature woman was immediately revealed. Lin Fan, who had put on Macup, was so beautiful. Lin Fan is not ugly to begin with, and she looks even better with Macup on. Well, she is getting closer and closer to a normal woman. Vote for Lin Fan. Chapter 164. Acting bravely. Not only Song Ren and his companions were stunned, but also the sales assistants. Lin Fan was completely different from before she put on Macup. Not good looking? Lin Fan smiled as she looked at herself in the mirror. It had been a long time since she had seen herself like this. Good looking. Lee Chun-ho rushed over. "Why don't you spend some time dressing up every day?" Lin Fan raised his eyebrows. "Can't you meet people without dressing up?" "That's not true. It's just that you look better this way." Lee Chun-ho advised with a smile. "Put on Macup. Put on Macup. Such a good looking Lin Fan can make Jiang Yu look better." What does it have to do with Jiang Yu? Lin Fan didn't know what was going on in Lee Chun-ho's mind. However, this time of putting on Macup today did restart her memories from a long time ago, making her feel like she was reliving the past. It seemed that she hadn't cared about her dressing up for a long time. When did it start? When she was sick? Or even earlier? Was it after she got a boyfriend? Seeing Lee Chun-ho's expectant eyes like a puppy, Lin Fan waved his hand and said, "Okay, then put on the Macup." Lee Chun-ho was happy, and so were the salesman and the saleswoman. This meant that they should have a considerable transaction amount. At least, more than one lipstick. But the result was still beyond their expectations. Lin Fan didn't have any cosmetics, so she asked for a set of all the base makeup and makeup she used today, including tools. The final bill was more than 10,000. Lee Chun-ho almost fainted. How could it be so expensive? Gao Fei had to explain to him that they bought a luxury brand. Lee Chun-ho regretted it. He wanted Lin Fan to spend money, but it hurt him to spend so much. Now saying no to buy, surely it's not possible? Lin Fan saw the salesman and the saleswoman exchanged obscure glances after seeing Lee Chun-ho's reaction and wanted to laugh. Cosmetics worth more than 10,000 are indeed very expensive. Fortunately, she has no feeling for money and she happens to have a lot of money. Otherwise she really wouldn't want to spend it. Thinking about Jin Sichin's advice, forget it, spend it. To avoid being scolded when he gets back, Lin Fan paid without saying anything, which surprised the sales clerk and saleswoman. They originally thought that the handsome guy who brought her here would pay, or the two who followed behind would pay, but they didn't expect that she would pay by herself. But the frankness of paying was surprisingly in line with her queen makeup. After packing up the things neatly, when seeing them off, a few people even asked considerately if they needed to go to their brand specialty store to buy other products. When Lee Chun-ho heard this, she quickly took the people away. It's such an expensive store, and they spent so much money and still wanted them to pay. No way. Lin Fan smiled and let Lee Chun-ho take her away. Song Ren and Gao Fei followed behind with shopping bags. Hey, you're not buying clothes? I heard that his clothes are very good. Lin Fan joked. No. Lee Chun-ho felt pain, even though it wasn't his money. He spent more than 10,000 yuan on such a big face, and I don't know how much money the clothes cost for such a big one. I won't go to his house. Ha ha ha. Lin Fan finally laughed at Lee Chun-ho's bitter and resentful expression. Song Ren and Gao Fei kept laughing after catching up. Lee Chun-ho's salary is actually not low, and he can afford it. He didn't hesitate when buying a car for his wife. He never said anything about Shimao buying skincare products worth 1,000 yuan. But this time, Lin Fan bought tens of thousands of cosmetics at one time, which stimulated him all of a sudden. Is it necessary to spend so much money on such a small place? Then I won't wear makeup in the future. After all, I haven't worn makeup for so many years. If I don't wear it well later, I will waste such expensive cosmetics. Lin Fan said according to Lee Chun-ho's words. That won't work. Lee Chun-ho immediately objected. You have to wear it every day. It's a waste if you buy it and don't use it. Everyone looked at his serious expression and laughed again. Lee Chun-ho thought about what she said and couldn't help laughing. The four of them, handsome men and pretty women, attracted a lot of attention. Because of the excitement of buying cosmetics, Lee Chun-ho didn't talk about buying clothes along the way. When they walked to the amusement park in the mall, they suddenly became playful and played a lot of games, such as whack-a-mole, drumming, shooting, bumper cars, etc. These were extremely childish games that only children could play, and they had a lot of fun. Everyone was not short of money. Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei had just returned home, so they played especially recklessly. It seemed like they were back in their youth. Even Lin Fan didn't care much about the noisy sounds in the amusement park. After leaving the amusement park, they walked around and ate all the way. Although they had morning jogging during this period, the exercise was not sufficient. The muscles of several people began to degenerate, and the body fat increased. Lin Fan, on the contrary, became thinner. It was because he had not eaten enough recently, and the intake was not sufficient, and the stars were absorbing Lin Fan's energy. So, you can see a scene that makes girls envious. Three handsome guys holding bags and snacks in their hands, watching the beauties in front of them eating while walking. It was still early when they came out of the mall, and Gao Fei suddenly mentioned the special affairs group. Lee Chun-ho also mentioned that Jin Sichin had said before that she would take them around. Special affairs group. I don't know how to get there. Lin Fan scratched her head. When she went there, Wu Yusen drove her there, and she had no idea how to get there. Can't we search for the address of Rihang? Lee Chun-ho asked. They all knew that Rihang Trading Co Limited was where the special affairs office was located. Gao Fei even searched on his mobile phone. It's better not to go. Song Ren stopped him. Lin Fan doesn't have many acquaintances there. If she goes in, it will be embarrassing for her. The two of them really gave up after hearing this. Think about it. Lin Fan has only been in the special affairs office for a total of 10 days. Even if she takes them in, she doesn't know how to introduce them, right? She herself needs someone to take her. Besides, Jin Sichin is not there, and Wu Yusen is not sure if he is there, so forget it. Several people changed their goal and decided to visit the famous riverside scenic spot. They walked into the subway entrance in a lively manner. While walking in the long corridor, there was a commotion in the distance. Stop. The voice came before the people arrived. The bustling crowd suddenly parted in the middle, revealing several people running in front. The sturdy young man in the lead ran nervously, followed by several people in uniform. They shouted loudly, asking the young man to stop, but obviously, it was useless. Passers-by didn't know what happened and chose to avoid it. A girl who couldn't react in time was pulled to the ground by the young man. He successfully blocked several people who were gradually closing the distance behind him. He shouted get out of the way while pulling everything he could get his hands on. Some people tried to stop him, but they failed because he was flexible. Most people chose to avoid him for fear of hurting themselves. Seeing that man rushing towards him, Lin Fan glanced at Song Ren, and after getting his encouraging look, he took 2 steps to the middle and blocked the man right in front of him. Song Ren and the other two lined up in a row, holding all the shopping bags in their hands in one hand. As long as the man came in this direction, he couldn't avoid them. It was just a matter of choosing who to pass in front of. Compared with the 3 tall and strong men, the relatively thin woman was of course the first choice to pass through. The young man rushed to Lin Fan and stretched out his hand to pull her away as before. Unexpectedly, before his hand touched the woman, his arm was clamped. Before he could react, his eyes blurred. He was thrown to the ground, his arm was twisted behind his back, and a foot stepped on his back, pressing him to death. When he realized what was going on, he felt the pain. He started to scream "Aye." No one spoke in the huge corridor for a while. Only the sound of scattered clapping and the sound of footsteps getting closer and closer were heard. Thank you. Thank you. The uniformed staff finally caught up. They twisted the young man on the ground and thanked Lin Fan and others. Invite them to sit in the lounge and wait for the police to take statements. After they left, other people started to talk about it. The content was almost the same, all expressing the same meaning. That woman was so pretty. Lin Fan's training was useful, and now she caught a bad guy. Under Song Ren's training, her ability has long surpassed that of ordinary people. Vote for Lin Fan. Chapter 165 Going to Harbin. Lin Fan knocked the man down with one move, and the happiest person was none other than Li Chunhe. They clapped their hands on the spot. Lin Fan himself was not as excited as he was. On the contrary, he was a little disappointed. It was not known whether the young man had been running for a long time and had consumed too much energy, or he was weak to begin with. From the start to the control, he hardly spent any effort. She had no idea at all what level of opponents she was sparring with on a daily basis. Even Gu, who was the weakest, could easily crush the young man here. Lin Fan's success was of course due to the previous training, but it was also due to the unexpected effect. The man was completely unprepared. Who would have thought that a beautifully dressed girl would attack so quickly and fiercely? With a grab and a twist, using the inertia of his own running, he was knocked down. After taking notes, several people continued to visit the riverside. In the evening, Gu called. He said that his family had asked someone to get 5 tickets to the amusement park and asked everyone to go there together tomorrow. A well-known cartoon amusement park was built in the suburbs of Gao, and a subway station was specially set up for the amusement park. In the past few days, in the streets and alleys of Gao, in the advertising light boxes, in addition to the discount advertisements in the shopping malls, there are all information about the trial operation of this amusement park. Many people want to go, but the tickets for the trial operation are only issued in small quantities, and they have to be obtained through special channels. Gao Fei, who is quite interested in cartoon characters, and Li Chunhe, who simply likes to join in the fun, are very sorry. Unexpectedly, good news came from Gu. This is really great. Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei howled immediately, and the sound spread far along the river. Dinner went to the revolving restaurant on the top floor of the TV tower across the river. Sitting by the window, watching the night view of Gao move in front of my eyes little by little. It's really hard to describe the feeling. After dinner, I went to the terrace below to continue watching the night view. The feeling of being blown by the cold wind and getting closer to the lights is completely different from what I felt in the restaurant just now. Several people took photos as a souvenir. They also took a group photo in front of the TV tower. Gao Fei smiled and sent the photo to Jiu, saying that he had reserved a spot for him and asked him to Photoshop himself in. Lee Chun-ho also joined in the fun. Lin Fan was enjoying the breeze, watching the two laughing boys. There was nothing particularly funny, but she still laughed along. At that moment, she suddenly felt the beauty of life. Although it was still cold outside, her face was numb from the cold air, but her heart was always warm. Early in the morning on the 5th day of the new year, Jiu came to the hotel to pick someone up. Even though he had seen the photo yesterday, he was still stunned when he saw Lin Fan in person. Because they were going to the amusement park, it was inconvenient to wear a skirt. Lin Fan wore a white turtleneck sweater, a chocolate-colored short leather jacket, red wide-leg trousers, and the black sneakers of the reserve team. The big wavy hair disappeared naturally after taking a shower last night. She tied a more fluffy bun today. I don't know if it was tied casually, it was a little loose, but it looked good. The expensive cosmetics came in handy. Lin Fan put on makeup specially. Although the technique is not as good as that of a professional, it has everything it should have. The smoky eyeshadow and red lips are there. But without the eyeliner that was raised yesterday, the slight charm disappeared. Only the mature woman with a cool temperament is left. Let's go. She stepped on the embroidered saddlebag from yesterday and walked out excitedly. The world famous cartoon amusement park. Who wouldn't want to see it? Compared with the opening time of Gao Shopping Mall, the amusement park's business hours are much earlier. It opens at 8:30 in the morning and closes at 8:30 in the evening. When the few people arrived, the sun had just come out and it was a good day for playing. Because it was an internal business, not many tickets were issued and not many people came to play. There was no queue and the few people went in. Looking at the Fairy Tale Kingdom layout, there are also various cartoon dolls. Not to mention Gao Fei and Lee Chun-ho, who were looking forward to it. Jiu, a genius child who almost had no childhood, and two old friends in their 30s, were unconsciously infected by the atmosphere, and their steps were as brisk as children. After Jiu's planning, everyone played all the available activities quickly and effectively, and did not miss any small theater. Finally, before 5:30, they quickly toured the entire park. Then they took the subway to the city without stopping. They will have a farewell dinner with Ji's parents at the hotel later. They will take the plane to leave Gao tonight. During the dinner, several people thanked Ji's parents for sponsoring the amusement park tickets. The other party also thanked everyone for taking care of Jiu. The dinner was a great pleasure for both the host and the guests. After packing the luggage at the hotel, Song Ren drove to Ji's house to pick up Jiu. Ji's parents stood outside the car, reluctantly saying goodbye to their son. Lin Fan couldn't help but think of the day she left and the scenes of leaving Gao Fei's house and Lee Chun-ho's house. Life seems to be moving forward in encounters and farewells. She suddenly felt a little cold, wrapped her leather jacket tightly, leaned against the car window, and shrank back. She didn't want to face the scene of parting again. On the way to the airport, everyone felt Lin Fan's low mood. They all knew that this was because Lin Fan didn't like separation, so they didn't need to worry about her. After a while, she would be able to adjust herself. Sure enough, after more than an hour, they arrived at the airport. When Lin Fan got off the car, her face was no longer sad. It would actually be faster to take the subway, but they had a lot of luggage, so it was more convenient to drive. The luggage cart at the airport was convenient for several people. Lin Fan's 28-inch large suitcase, two large red, blue, and white snakeskin bags, a medium-sized luggage bag, and a guitar took up one cart. The other cart was filled with backpacks for 4 people, as well as things bought along the way and local products sent by family. In general, there were not many things, just odds and ends. First, they went to the car rental counter to complete the car return procedures, and then went to the check-in counter. With Lin Fan, a rich woman, they still enjoyed VIP treatment. It's just that there was no first class cabin on this flight, so they could only buy business class without discounts. Business class is business class, and the price is not cheap. Lee Chun-ho looked at the ticket in her hand, which was the same price as the cosmetics yesterday, and couldn't tell which one was more cost effective. It's like this, there is no real first class cabin on domestic flights. They are all business class seats, with first class fares. GU reads all kinds of books, and he can always pick up these miscellaneous knowledge at will. Then why did the plane to Gao have a first class cabin? Gao Fei asked curiously. That's actually also business class. It's just that the company and the model are different, so the name is different. GU replied, anyway, there are very few first class cabins on domestic flights. Business class is the best. It should be a small box, no difference. The group ate, drank and rested in the lounge, and when the time came, they boarded the plane through the VIP channel. This time the business class is much larger than before, and it is still a semi-enclosed box seat, but because there are more seats, the space is much smaller than the plane to Gao. There are only 2 side windows, and there is no double glazed partition to limit the view. But it was already past 10 o'clock in the evening, and it was pitch black outside anyway, so it didn't make any difference whether to see or not. Lin Fan still sat by the window, and the seats of the others surrounded her in the middle. Not long after the plane took off, she couldn't resist her biological clock, and fell into a deep sleep. In the early hours of the morning, the plane landed. The group collected their luggage. At Song Ren's instruction, they took thick cotton clothes and wrapped themselves up. As a result, they were still frozen like dogs as soon as they left the airport. Harbin in winter is really cold. Finally arrived at Song Ren's house. There were only 6 subscriptions yesterday. Well, don't you all like the recent content? But Lin Fan's mentality needs to return to normal, which is a necessary process in my setting. Well, I'm almost done. I hope someone will continue to read it. Don't forget to vote for me. Chapter 166, Encountering the Ex-Girlfriend. Fortunately, there are taxis outside the airport. It is more cost-effective to take a bus. After they quickly got in, they felt their stiff tongues regain consciousness. The cold in Harbin is completely different from the cold in Lin Fan's hometown. The cold in Lin's home is damp and cold. The temperature is not particularly low, but the humidity in the air is everywhere, always drilling into the bones. Harbin is not like that. Harbin, located in the northernmost part of the country, has no air humidity. It is dry and cold, with a temperature of -20 to 30 degrees. Early February is the coldest time of the year, not to mention at night. The few people who have never been to this north immediately had the most intuitive experience of the name Ice City. 5 people, a pile of luggage, and 2 taxis. In Harbin at night, there are not many vehicles on the empty streets. The taxi drove all the way to the downstairs of a community. Boss, isn't it a bit too late to go home at this time? Lee Chun-ho looked at the dark apartment buildings in the community, where almost no lights were on, and said in a low voice. Song Ren looked at his cautious look and smiled. Let's go. When they arrived in Harbin, they naturally listened to Song Ren. They took the elevator with their bags, and found that they had come to an empty room after entering the house. The 3-bedroom 2-living room house had no signs of life, and the heating was turned on fully. Not long after entering the house, several people soon felt hot again. Boss, did you rent a homestay? Lee Chun-ho took off his coat and strolled around the house. It's not a homestay, it's my house. Song Ren put the things at the door in order and replied, I bought it a few years ago, and no one has lived in it. Today I told my family that I was coming, and my family came to clean it in advance. No wonder. Lee Chun-ho nodded. The boss's family conditions are not bad. At present, the number of properties owned by a family can directly reflect the economic level of a family. It's not suitable to chat in the middle of the night. Song Ren arranged rooms for everyone. The master bedroom has a double bed, and the second bedroom has 2 single beds, which looks like an old people's room. There is also a folding bed in the study. The sofa can also sleep 1 person. Finally, today, these 4 tall and strong men no longer have to sleep together on a double bed. Song Ren wanted Lin Fan to sleep in the big bed in the master bedroom, but Lin Fan refused. She insisted on sleeping on the folding bed in the study. Lee Chun-ho and Ji-yu refused to sleep on the big bed in the master bedroom, so it was finally given to Geo Fei. Song-ren slept on the sofa. Lee Chun-ho and Ji-yu slept on the single bed in the second bedroom. After a quick wash, they soon fell asleep. When Lin Fan got up the next day, the guys in the room had all returned from exercise. She had been forbidden to exercise because she had lost a lot of weight recently. After exercising, the guys all wandered around the room in short-sleeved t-shirts, making Lin Fan, who was wearing a sweater, feel like she was in the wrong season. But the heating was really comfortable. After a few movements, Lin Fan also felt hot. She ran back to the study and took out her summer clothes from the sack to change into them. She came out wearing a fitted rose-red printed short t-shirt and jeans. Everyone was attracted by her unique dressing style, compared with the solid color loose style that is popular nowadays. When Lin Fan was young, most of her clothes were colorful and fitted. They can show her curves very well. In addition, Lin Fan's figure has improved recently, and her limbs are slender and strong, so she looks good in any clothes. Hurry up, put on makeup. Lee Chun-ho has not forgotten the price of cosmetics, and reminds Lin Fan every day. Lin Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and could only do what he said. Lin Fan is still thin. Lee Chun-ho went to the living room and whispered to Song-ren. When he pushed Lin Fan just now, he put his hand on her shoulder, and it felt like it was all bones, and there was no muscle. Song-ren naturally saw it. The close-fitting clothes felt a little loose on Lin Fan. It seems that she still needs to eat more. Looking at my sister's previous clothes, I feel that, when she was young, her personality must have been very Geo Fei said, not knowing how to describe it. When Sister Lin was young, her life must have been colorful. Ji-yu continued, look at the clothes and jewelry she wore before, and the 3 piercings on her left ear. She must not be a rigid and honest person. Lee Chun-ho nodded. Recently, they can clearly feel the change in Lin Fan's state. He is more talkative, more cheerful, and can make jokes with bad taste than before. Compared with the Lin Fan who was 800 miles away before departure, the current Lin Fan is more like a living person. Lin Fan's makeup is simple and quick. It was getting late, so the few of them quickly put on a few more clothes and wrapped themselves in the warmest coats to go out. Heading to Song-ren's parents' home. Song's parents lived in the next community, and the 5 of them walked there in less than 10 minutes. The enthusiasm of the generous and enthusiastic northerners to entertain guests is not only reflected in their attitude, but also in the large bowls of food on the table. Except in the canteen of the government office, the few of them have never seen dishes served in bowls. A bowl of meat porridge, a bowl of flour rolls and buns, and a bowl of mixed vegetables, a pot of hot soy milk and a bag of more than a dozen fried dough sticks. The table was so full of food that there was no place to put the bowls. Just, for the first time, several people felt that this meal might make them feel full. Northerners don't normally eat like this. This is why Song-ren called his family to inform them to prepare more. When his grandfather and grandfather, who had served in the army, heard that all the people coming were soldiers, they prepared more. So it created such a shocking effect. But it was also a blessing in disguise, as it just happened to meet Lin Fan's intake needs. So, after several people finished half a bowl of breakfast together, even Song-ren stopped eating, but Lin Fan continued to eat under everyone's enthusiasm. This girl has a good appetite. Grandpa Song is so old, but he has never seen a girl who eats so much. It's a blessing to be able to eat. Grandma Song looked at Lin Fan with a smile, and when she saw her eldest grandson brought her another steamed bun, the kindness in her eyes became even stronger. Mother Song looked at Lin Fan's slender figure, which was completely disproportionate to her appetite. Father Song also stared at Lin Fan's flat belly with a puzzled look. Where did you eat all this? Because breakfast was late and the amount was large, lunch naturally couldn't start at the normal time. The Song family simply asked Song-ren to take a few people out for a walk to digest the food, and then have a good meal when they come back in the evening. The Song family's residential area is in the city center, not far from the famous Central Street. There are a lot of European-style buildings on both sides of this street, most of which have a history of 100 years. Even the road is paved with square stone bricks, full of exotic style. After walking on the street for a while and feeling the different style, the group was still defeated by the cold outdoors and hid in the mall to keep warm. The malls in Harbin are not the same as those in Gao, without so many high-rise buildings and gorgeous decorations. When Lin Fan came out of the toilet, Song Ren was waiting outside alone. They just went in. Song Ren said. He went into the toilet with Lin Fan, and when he came out, the other three remembered to go. Lin Fan nodded. She looked around and saw a dessert shop not far away. The exhibits in the window were quite beautiful. He said something to Song Ren and ran over to take a look. Song Ren saw that the shop was only about 30 meters away, so he was not in a hurry. He looked at Lin Fan's back and walked slowly over there. Lin Fan looked at the cakes in the window and was about to call Song Ren over to buy a piece to try. Suddenly, he saw a long-haired girl standing in front of Song Ren. Is she another little girl who was bewitched by Song Ren's beauty? Lin Fan walked towards Song Ren with a smile. He didn't know how many waves he had met along the way. On the opposite side, the group of 3 people who came out of the toilet obviously thought the same thing. Lee Chun-ho watched Gao Fei Ngu with ambiguous eyes and approached Song Ren lightly. As soon as he approached, he heard a sad and emotional female voice. Aaron. Wow, this is acquaintance. When the few people heard the voice, they realized that things were not as they imagined, and they turned their feet and wanted to run away. Lin Fan was not as lucky as Lee Chun-ho and the others. Song Ren grabbed him and dragged him to his side. The woman opposite saw Song Ren suddenly approaching, and before she could be happy, she found that he passed by her, grabbed a woman from somewhere, and dragged her to her side. She keenly felt that the relationship between the two was not ordinary. When the woman looked over, she showed what she thought was a perfect smile and stretched out her hand to the other party. Hello, my name is Li Fang. I'm Song Ren's ex-girlfriend. Well, the ex-girlfriend appeared. Some readers said before that I wrote about ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends to disgust readers. I want to say that I really didn't, at least subjectively. This plot was arranged in July, so everyone, just make do with it. If you don't like it, just skip the next chapter. You still need to vote. Chapter 167 Li Fang's Redemption. Lin Fan sat in a booth in the dessert shop, and she couldn't understand why she had to face Song Ren's ex-girlfriend. She should have sat behind Li Fang like Lee Chun-ho and the others. She should have pretended to be a stranger to Song Ren, secretly spying on the situation here through the green plants, trying to see the devil captain's joke. Instead of sitting on the scene like now. Li Fang was a beautiful girl with exquisite dress. When she smiled and greeted Lin Fan hesitated for a moment whether to reach out and shake her hand. But Lin Fan was Lin Fan after all. She still had a strong resistance to contact from strangers. She stared at the white and tender hand for a long time, but still didn't take her hands out of her pockets. Li Fang took her hand back without caring and asked Song Ren with a smile, "Is this your new girlfriend? She doesn't look young anymore." Lin Fan wanted to subconsciously deny her words, but when she heard the last sentence, she pursed her lips a little unhappily. Why is there a personal attack? She looked at Li Fang's face carefully, and her makeup was indeed delicate and beautiful. But the exquisite young woman is not much younger than this mature woman. She turned her head and glanced at Song Ren, who was obviously unhappy, thinking to herself, forget it. What's the matter? Song Ren didn't expect to meet Li Fang here. He didn't see that Lee Chun-ho and others behind him had come out. Seeing that Lin Fan wanted to slip away, he naturally pulled her to his side. As for Li Fang's misunderstanding, who cares about her? Long time no see, can we find a place to sit down and chat? Li Fang looked at Song Ren with full eyes, but this trick had long since failed. Seeing Li Fang, the bad memories that he had forgotten for a long time immediately emerged, and naturally he would not have a good face. He didn't understand what Li Fang was going to do now. Didn't they make it clear a long time ago that they parted ways? Chat, what's there to chat about? Song Ren didn't say anything bad, but he didn't want to pay attention to an inexplicable ex-girlfriend. He saw that Lin Fan kept her head down and then looked at the dessert shop in front. She seemed to want to eat just now. Without saying a word, he pulled Lin Fan in. Li Fang didn't understand what was going on. Seeing Song Ren enter the dessert shop with his female companion and walk towards the booth inside, she thought that he had tacitly agreed to her proposal, although there was an extra woman. But Li Fang followed with a smile and sat opposite Lin Fan before Song Ren. The seats in the dessert shop were the kind of double soft covered booths facing each other. He would either be on Lin Fan's side or on Li Fang's side. Song Ren didn't expect Li Fang to follow him in and was silent for a moment. The waiter had already come over and there were still some customers around. It was obviously not a good time to kick people out at this time. Song Ren chose to ignore her, sat next to Lin Fan, took the menu and handed it to her. So, Lin Fan was inexplicably sandwiched between the two people in a weird and somewhat awkward position until Lee Chun-hua took Gao Fei and Ji past them and sat at a table in the back and greeted Lin Fan secretly. After being glared at by Song Ren, he retracted his head and only showed his eyes to peek, and Lin Fan couldn't help laughing. Well, my friend is just behind, so it doesn't seem that scary. She was in a good mood and ordered the desserts she saw outside the window just now. Song Ren also ordered hot milk tea for her. After closing the menu, she looked up and saw Li Fang across from her looking at her with burning eyes and smiling. Eren is always so considerate. Why did this sound weird? Lin Fan felt that she shouldn't sit here. Miss, can I be alone with Eren for a while? Li Fang asked politely with a smile. Okay. Lin Fan wanted to leave early in the morning, but before she stood up, Song Ren held her down. There is no need for us to be alone. Song Ren looked at Li Fang with a cold face and a heavy look. Li Fang understood the warning in his eyes and retreated a little. But it was not easy to meet Song Ren on the street. If she didn't say it today, she didn't know when she would have the chance next time. Just as she was hesitating and confused, Lin Fan's cake came up. 7 or 8 small plates filled the table. In order to make it convenient for Lin Fan, Song Ren took the initiative to help her adjust the placement of the cake. Li Fang looked at her ex-boyfriend like this and thought that she was the one who enjoyed this treatment before, so she plucked up the courage to continue speaking. Eren. Seeing that Song Ren was not angry, Li Fang continued, I haven't contacted you for so long. I feel relieved to see that you are doing well. Lin Fan, who was eating cake, heard this and deliberately raised his head and glanced at him quickly. As long as it has nothing to do with her, she is still happy to be a cake eater. I haven't been doing well in the past 2 years. I miss you all the time. I can't help but want to find you. But I can't get in touch with you on my phone. I called your original unit and they said you were transferred. Li Fang became more and more resentful as she spoke. Whether it was Lin Fan or Li Chun-hua and others behind him, they slowed down their actions. I went to find my uncle and aunt, but they. Li Fang didn't finish her words. The energy of wanting to say something, but stopping made Lin Fan feel like she was complaining about Song's parents. She kept chewing in her mouth and quickly glanced at Song Ren. Well, it seems that he was still unmoved. I know you haven't gotten married since you broke up with me. Li Fang said, and suddenly met Lin Fan's eyes. It was different from what she thought. Song Ren, the female companion, didn't seem to be unhappy at all. She kept eating the cake, staring at her with her black eyes. Seeing that she stopped talking, he even swallowed the food in his mouth and said to her, you continue. The person Li Fang wanted to talk to ignored her, and she thought that people who had nothing to do with her were watching her with great interest. This was not what she thought. But she had to continue talking. I knew you still had me in your heart. Maybe she was interrupted in the middle and her emotions were not connected. When she said this, she felt something was wrong. Li Fang. Song Ren didn't want to endure it anymore. Behind Li Fang, not only Li Chun-hua, but also Gao Fei and Ji poked their heads out. I remember you were married. Wow. It was obvious that there were more than just Lin Fan and the other 4 people who were paying attention to the situation. They thought it was a drama of an unmarried man and an unmarried woman who broke up for several years and didn't find the right person, so they tried to save their love again. But it turned out not to be the case. Ji head slowly disappeared from the top of the booth and Gao Fei pulled him along. Li Chun-hua couldn't pull him away, so she left him alone. Lin Fan also wanted to disappear. What kind of Shura field is this? My ex-girlfriend got married, and the groom wasn't me? After the marriage, she said she couldn't forget me. Lin Fan's mind quickly flashed through several gossip headlines. He didn't notice that the cake on the plate was finished, and he kept eating the empty plate. Song Ren sighed lightly, took the empty plate away, and replaced it with a new one for her. Eat. Lin Fan shrank into the corner. Song Ren was really unhappy. But I'm divorced. Li Fang also saw it. She didn't care about the onlookers around her. She was anxious to save the relationship. Aaron, our relationship of more than 10 years. But we broke up a long time ago. Song Ren was ruthless to her. But Li Fang wanted to continue, but was interrupted by a critical hit. Where is your child? Song Ren had loved and resented, and now he had let it go. Li Fang's behavior made him feel that this was no longer the original Li Fang. Or maybe he had never really understood her? Wow. The crowd of spectators became even more excited. Why did they talk about the child? The child is gone. Li Fang didn't want to talk about such private matters in front of so many people, but if she didn't talk about it now, she might really have no chance. When I was pregnant, he went to cause trouble again. I told him off, and his whole family helped him. That's when the child was gone. Li Fang was really sad at this time. The details were not detailed, but it was guessed that an accident occurred during the dispute. As for whether it was an accident, or he didn't care about her at all, it's hard to say. Aaron. Li Fang couldn't laugh anymore. She frowned slightly, her eyes were red, and she was crying, and she asked expectantly, can we really not go back? Be careful in your choice. No one will wait for you in the same place. If you miss it, you miss it. Not to mention that there are cracks in the relationship. Well, feelings are too troublesome. I want to be an author without feelings. I want votes. Chapter 168. The holiday is over. Li Fang, you made your choice a long time ago. Seeing Li Fang like this, Song Ren seemed to overlap with her when they broke up. We parted ways at the moment of breaking up. It was your own choice. Why do you have such unrealistic hopes? Thinking of the years of getting along, it was impossible not to feel anything in his heart. He finally sighed and said in a deep voice, don't be too greedy. Li Fang shed tears and looked carefully at Song Ren's eyes, trying to find even a trace of reluctance to her. But she never succeeded. The discussion of the onlookers became louder and louder. There were more and more pointers to her. Li Fang saw that Song Ren was still unmoved, and even the most effective tear offensive in the past lost its effect. In the end, she gave up and got up to leave. Lin Fan clearly felt that Song Ren was relieved because of her departure. Saying that you don't care, humph, man. She was just curling her lips when she saw Song Ren's eyes. Immediately, she handed over the plate in her hand in a flattering manner. It's delicious. Do you want to have a bite? Song Ren looked at Lin Fan, who had a lively expression and a mouthful of cream in front of him, and his mood suddenly became much better. Lin Fan, is a woman completely different from Li Fang. Boss. Li Chunhe ran over without knowing the time, and also called Jiyu and Gao Fei to come together. Jiyu shouted that there was no room to sit down, and pulled Gao Fei to stay in the original position, shrinking his head so that he could not be seen. Li Chunhe sat down and realized that his smile was inappropriate. Song Ren opposite was looking at him with a stern face. Damn it. He cried in his heart and saw a plate of cake handed to him. Regardless of whether it was delicious or not, whether he wanted to eat it or not, he lowered his head and kept shoveling it into his mouth to avoid Song Ren. Although the heroine left, the onlookers still couldn't help pointing fingers at Song Ren. Song Ren didn't care, but Lin Fan felt uncomfortable. He shared the remaining cake with Li Chunhe and quickly got up and left the dessert shop. Continuing to stroll along the mall, the few of them were surprised to find bread that was bigger than their faces, and also bought special red sausages. They drank kvass with a unique taste. They also bought several large bags of nuts for Lin Fan, including hazelnuts, walnuts, almonds, and pine nuts, which could last her for a long time. After shopping and returning home, dinner had already been prepared, and there was another full table. Song Ren's grandfather was also picked up. He was also an energetic old man, thinner than Grandpa Song. The atmosphere during the meal was particularly good. Everyone ate the food and drank wine with big mouthfuls, chatting about relaxed family matters, and also talked about some relaxed daily life in 800 miles. The old people all told Song Ren to work hard and serve the country. His parents were more concerned about his health. Everyone was having a good time. Grandma Song thought Lin Fan was her grandson's object at first, so she paid special attention to her. Not only Grandma Song, but everyone actually had such doubts, but they just didn't say it directly. During the dinner, Grandma Song specifically asked Lin Fan several times. After Song Ren found out that something was wrong, everyone realized that it was all for nothing. The misunderstanding was resolved, and the Song family knew that it was a joke. But no matter how much they laughed, they still felt sorry. For Song Ren, the only thing that was not going well was his marriage. There was a Li Fang before, and after more than 10 years, everyone thought it was a sure thing. Song Ren also told his family that the wedding was ready, but the bride ran away with someone else. That's it, a forced melon is not sweet. After all, the child grew up in front of her eyes, and she made people wait for so many years, so she can't blame her completely. But Song Ren broke up for more than 2 years, and the emotional injury should have eased. This time he suddenly brought a female colleague back. Although she was a colleague, everyone thought she was Song Ren's girlfriend. Song's mother couldn't help but sigh and talked about the house they were staying in now. Everyone realized that it was the wedding room that Song Ren was going to use for his wedding. Well, fortunately, I had a keen intuition and didn't sleep in the master bedroom. Lee Chun-hua secretly wiped the non-existent sweat from her forehead. Lin Fan and Ji-yu looked like they had expected this. Only Gao Fei looked confused. Knowing that Lin Fan was indeed just a colleague, Song Ma began to worry again that Song Ren would not have the opportunity to meet other girls at work. It's okay, auntie. The boss is popular in our team. Lee Chun-hua smiled. Oh, what do you mean? A girl likes him? Song Ma became excited when she heard this, and the others also listened attentively. Yes, there is a team beauty in our team, named Jiang Yu. When Lee Chun-hua said this, she subconsciously glanced at Song Ren. Seeing that he did not object, she continued to gossip. She likes our boss very much. Really? Song Ma was happy. What does the girl look like? Lee Chun-hua told the Song family a story and vividly acted out the story of Jiang Yu's anger at Lin Fan because of Song Ren. Oh, this girl sounds good. Song Ma knew that there would be no flaws in her son's work and character in his unit. Good looking, cheerful, and liking her son. Isn't that perfect? Song Ren, you'd better hurry up. Song's mother advised cheerfully. Others said nothing, just watched with a smile. Well, I know what's going on. Song Ren neither promised nor shirked. But to the Song family, it seemed that he had agreed. Their family's way of urging marriage is different from the Lin family. Although they are also anxious, they are more democratic, and the sense of oppression is not strong, so people will not feel very uncomfortable. After Song Ren agreed, the topic was automatically changed, and the overall atmosphere was relaxed and happy. Lin Fan couldn't help but think, if her family had such an atmosphere back then, maybe she wouldn't be where she is today. But thinking about the balance in the bank card that she could squander at will, she couldn't tell whether it was good or bad for a while. After dinner, several people went home together again. On the side of the road, someone was selling things with a few boxes. When they got closer, they found that they were popsicles. Wow, you sell popsicles on the roadside? This was the first time Lee Chun-hua saw popsicles that were not kept in the freezer. Except for Song Ren, everyone else saw it for the first time, and they were excited and wanted to buy a few to try. Isn't there a joke before? When you go to Harbin in winter, when you buy a drink, if someone asks you whether you want room temperature or iced, you must say iced, because room temperature means frozen. Ji-yu picked a flavor he liked and held it in his hand. That's right, iced is only a few degrees, and it's already minus 20 degrees outside now. Gao Fei also picked a flavor he liked. Yes, I've heard of it too. Lee Chun-hua was very happy. Song Ren had just paid for the popsicle when he saw Lee Chun-hua holding the peeled popsicle in her mouth with gloves. After he got the popsicle, he didn't care about the ice and snow and wanted to open it and eat it immediately. But ski gloves were inconvenient to wear. After taking off the gloves and peeling the skin, he felt his hands were cold, so he held the popsicle in his mouth with gloves. Then it was tragic. His tongue was stuck to the popsicle. Seeing Lee Chun-hoo unable to shut up and crying because of the freezing popsicle, everyone wanted to laugh, but they also felt it was too inhumane. Song-ren quickly pulled people to the nearby store and bought a bottle of mineral water to pour into Lee Chun-hoo's mouth. The owner of the store hadn't seen this scene for many years and laughed beside him. Because of the proper handling, the popsicle was quickly taken out. Except that Lee Chun-hoo's mouth was very cold. There was nothing wrong. He didn't throw the popsicle away, but he didn't dare to eat it outside. He took it all the way home and dared to continue eating it in the heating room. Everyone talked and laughed, and the night passed quickly. On the third day, Song-ren took a few people to the famous ice sculpture exhibition and had a great day. Everyone shuffled through the huge ice and snow castle and slid down the slide like a child. When night fell, the colorful ice lanterns turned the huge ice sculpture into another dreamlike scene. On the fourth day, several people slept comfortably until they woke up naturally. After packing up their luggage, they said goodbye to the old man of the Song family and took a plane back to Gwangan. Their vacation is over. Okay, I'm finally back. I have to write about mechas again. Are you happy? And I doubt if anyone will continue to watch here. There won't be anyone left. Ha 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 ha. Vote for me. Chapter 169 Resumption Training. When Song-ren got off the plane at the airport in the neighboring city closest to Gwangan, he received a call from Jin Sichin. He said he was done with his work and asked where they were now. When he learned that several people had already returned, he felt a little regretful and said that he would come back to meet up with everyone in 2 days. It was still the logistics department's car that took the 5 people back to the institute. After half a month, seeing Lin Fan on the mountain path again, he actually felt a sense of intimacy similar to going home. Because they brought a lot of things back, they spent a lot of time on the security check at the sentry post. The logistics colleagues did not drive the car away directly, but waited for them considerately. After the security check was completed, they were sent all the way to the villa area. No one had lived in the dormitory for half a month, and it was cold and deserted. The first thing Lin Fan did when she entered the room was to turn on the air conditioner. After living in a heated house in Harbin for a few days, she suddenly couldn't adapt to the environment without heating. Obviously, she used to rely on clothes to resist the cold physically and turned on the air conditioner in the bedroom, but now she turned on the whole house heating without thinking. Everyone brought a lot of things, and it took a lot of time to pack, especially Lin Fan. Several large bags of clothing were unpacked and checked at the security check. According to her obsessive-compulsive nature, it would take a lot of effort to clean them all. So Lee Chun-hoo's long-lost errand business started again, and she diligently helped several people go to the canteen to get dinner and eat in the dormitory. When Song-ren applied for a logistics car to pick them up at the airport, he also reported his leave to Yu Guangli, the leader of 623. The news was that the new mecha had not been completed yet and the laboratory was still closed. However, the new training program and the original laboratory in the office building had been prepared. The next morning, several people excitedly went straight to the office building and found that the original laboratory furnishings had completely changed. On one side, there were several single tables and chairs, like a simple small classroom. On the other side, under the electronic screen, 4 boxes with a large area were placed side by side. Several people looked closer, but did not dare to touch them. After walking around, except for the smooth metal shell and the huge cables on the ground, they could not see anything. What is this? Lee Chun-hoo couldn't help but speak. It's your mecha simulation control training cabin. A voice came from the door to answer. Everyone looked back and saw Zajing standing at the door with a smile. Huh? You are not sealed in the laboratory of the underground fortress? Lee Chun-hoo asked in surprise. Didn't they say that all project members are working in a closed environment? Why is Zajing, who is in charge of the system, here? No. The system has been perfected a long time ago. The one who is in charge of casting is sealed in the laboratory. Zajing walked in slowly with a stack of documents. I will need to debug the new mecha after it is assembled. He walked to the metal warehouse and turned on the switch. The hatch opened upwards, revealing the soft wrapping material inside that was exactly the same as Fuguang. This is copied completely according to the internal structure of the bionic armor. When you can't use the real machine, you can train on it. Zhajing looked at the few people and smiled. Bionic armor? Song Ren raised his eyebrows. Officially changed the name? He had specially explained to Lin Fan before that the new mecha had always been called a wearable mecha inside 623. He also said that it was a temporary name and might need to be changed later, but now it has really been changed. Yes, it was decided by Vice Director Z. He said that Xingqian is a biological mecha, so the mecha made in imitation of Xingqian should be called a biomimetic mecha. Zhajing explained. Besides, wearable mechas have already existed before, and he felt that simply distinguishing them by model did not reflect their importance. Several people nodded to show that they understood. I was wondering why there were only 4 of them, when there were obviously 5 of us. It turns out that Lin Fan can't use it. After Li Chunhua knew that it was a training chamber, his first reaction was to think, why is there still one missing? Thinking again, it is right that there is no one, because Lin Fan's small physique can't get on the machine at all. In addition to practical training, we have also added cultural courses for you. Zhajing handed the folder in his hand to several people. You should have read the preliminary theory of mechas. Here is the description of the power system of bionic armor and simple fault repair. Several people took it and looked at it. There were only study plans and categories in the folder. Where are the materials? Gu quickly flipped through the contents of the file and asked. Here. Zhajing pointed to the shelf in the corner, where there were piles of materials. They didn't notice it when they first came in, and thought it was something left behind in the previous laboratory. Zhajing explained to several people how to use a training chamber, and told them that different researchers would explain the theoretical knowledge to them. At present, the laboratory is closed, and remote teaching will be conducted through the large screen on the wall. And this idle laboratory has officially changed its purpose and become a study room. After finishing the business, Zhajing also specifically asked about Lin Fan's recent situation. As soon as he came in, he found that Lin Fan was not wearing the reserve team uniform today, but a regular uniform, and his face was also made up. Even though he didn't study psychology much, he could still see with his eyes that Lin Fan's condition was much better than before he left. By the way, Dr. Zhao asked you to go to her for a physical examination after you come back. Zhajing suddenly remembered to remind him after the greetings. Well, I'm about to go. Song Ren nodded and took a few people to the medical room. The medical trio was waiting in the office. Especially Dr. Zhao and Wu Yi. Seeing Lin Fan's appearance today, they were very surprised and couldn't help but praise him. The 5 people were quickly given a physical examination. Everything else was fine, except for one thing. Lin Fan has lost weight. Dr. Zhao sighed while holding the report. It's not convenient outside after all. Now that you're back, you can adjust your diet and exercise back to normal. Song Ren had already arranged a training plan for them. Although it was just a plain narration, after hearing it, Lin Fan and the others all felt that the good days were gone forever. Sure enough, in the training room in the afternoon, everyone felt the long-lost torture again. Li Chunhua and the other 2 were fine. They ran a little bit every day, so they still had some exercise. Lin Fan was not so good. In order to prevent her from losing weight, she stopped exercising before going to Gao. After such a long time, she suddenly started training. You can imagine how sore it was. Although the intensity was not as high as before, the few people still felt the effort. They gritted their teeth and persisted, while complaining in their hearts that this was the price of taking a long vacation. The next day was Saturday. For the 5 people who had just rested for half a month, it was meaningless. To quickly recover their physical fitness, it was naturally impossible to follow the daily schedule. Every morning, they first went to the training cabin for 2 hours of simulated operation. At 10:30, someone gave them a video class, which lasted for an hour and a half. Then they spent the whole afternoon training. They first ran a few laps around the playground, and then stayed in the training room until dark. Lin Fan wanted to watch the training in the simulation cabin at first, but once the lid was closed, people outside could not see anything. She could only go back to her activity room to have fun. When taking video classes, Lin Fan would come over from time to time depending on her mood. Sometimes she would sit in on the class, and sometimes she just wanted to be with the other four. She would sit next to them and read magazines, or play games, and do her own things. Because there were no requirements for her, the lecturers ignored her. After returning for 10 days, everyone's physical fitness had finally almost recovered to the level before the holiday, and they also quickly absorbed a lot of new knowledge. On this day, the laboratory was unsealed. The new bionic armor was completed. I didn't write for 2 days in the middle, because the temperature suddenly dropped, and I was busy changing seasons and working. I wrote again after 2 days, and that feeling suddenly disappeared. Oh, or I didn't organize the plot well. Cheer yourself up. There are only 3 people voting every day, and I'm one of them. Haha, I won't call for voting anymore. I'm tired. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 New Mecha completed. When they received the message, they were having lunch. Lee Chun-ho immediately lifted the plate, picked up the food inside, and stuffed it into his mouth. Song Ren and the others also silently sped up their eating speed. Lin Fan knew that they were anxious, so he also sped up. The group rushed out of the cafeteria impatiently, which gave the confused onlookers another topic of speculation. In the underground laboratory, 4 brand new bionic armors stood in the middle of the test field. In terms of appearance, in general, there is no difference from the first generation of Fuguang, but many details have been modified. The internal structure and the like have also been adjusted accordingly according to the different pilots' own data. It's just that the 4 mechas have not been painted yet, and they all look grey, and it's hard to tell which one is which from the appearance. You are here. Yu Guangli looked at the few people with a smile. When the message was sent out, I knew that these people would arrive soon. Wow. Lin Fan is dressed very beautifully today, Ke Wenbin praised with a smile. When we took the video class before, everyone saw Lin Fan's new outfit, and everyone thought it was better than before. After knowing this, even Zibishan took the time to go and see Lin Fan, smiling and saying that he was very good. Where's Zhang Zhaoji? Lee Chun-ho looked around to find someone. In the past, Zhang Zhaoji would have jumped out to talk to Lin Fan at this time. He is busy with the painting and color matching. Look, the 4 machines are the same, and he wants to make 4 different color matchings, and also, before Ke Wenbin finished speaking, Zhang Zhaoji arrived. I'm coming, I'm coming. Zhang Zhaoji ran over excitedly with a tablet in his hand. He smiled at Lin Fan first, and then said to the other 4 people, I have a rough idea of the painting and color matching, but it still needs to be adjusted according to the names of your mechas. Have you thought of the name of the new mecha? The last sentence was asked to Lee Chun-ho and the other 3. After all, Fu Guang's name had been determined long ago. Ji Yu and Gao Fei looked at each other. Did they come up with the name of the mecha? It's not their fault that they didn't know. After all, when they came, Fu Guang's name had been determined. Song Ren explained to them in a low voice. Mecha pilots have the priority to name the mecha if they have the same opportunities. I've already thought of a good name and have been waiting for today. Lee Chun-ho has been waiting for today for a long time, and he has also been preparing the name of his mecha for a long time. Oh, tell me, what's it called? Yu Guangli asked with interest. Everyone knows that Lee Chun-ho has a low level of education and doesn't like to read books on weekdays. It's not that I look down on him, but everyone thinks that the name he came up with shouldn't be very good. Jin Gang. Lee Chun-ho said loudly. King Kong? Yu Guangli thought it was a bit ordinary. He immediately thought of a movie in which the giant gorilla seemed to have this name. Which 2 characters? Zhang Zhaoji asked. Jin for gold, Gang for strong wind. Lee Chun-ho said proudly. He looked through books a lot during that time and finally found the character Gang. Just replacing one character, the name instantly became tall and noble. Jin Gang. What's the meaning? Yu Guangli was more interested after knowing that it was not the 2 words he thought. Gold is a metal. In ancient times, there was a saying, it will not grow after being buried for a long time, it will not become light after being refined 100 times, and it will not change after being changed. This shows that it is stable. In fact, the chemical properties of gold are indeed stable. This is not difficult for Lee Chun-hua. When he came up with this name, he looked at the two words over and over again, and naturally knew them by heart. Gang, literally, the four uprights are the upright way, the upright virtue, the upright law, and the upright wisdom. This word also means upright, responsible, and just. Lee Chun-hua looked very proud, and was very satisfied with the name he came up with. In fact, other people also thought it was very good. Jin Gang, HMM, I already have a picture. Zhang Zhaoji opened the tablet and buried his head in writing and drawing. By the way, he also reminded Gao Fei and Gu, you two should think of names quickly. If not, we will publicly solicit names. Yes. The two agreed quickly. Come, I'll show you the latest bionic armor. Seeing Zhang Zhaoji finished speaking, Ke Wenbin led the others forward. Is it very different from before? Lin Fan only felt that the appearance was a little different, but she knew it was obviously not that simple. Well, the shell is lighter again. In addition, we also found that 818 can absorb light energy and heat energy, and tried to convert it into electrical energy, and it was successful. Ke Wenbin wanted to say that 818 was really a big treasure. Isn't that equivalent to a solar energy system? Does the Mecha use a pure electric system? Gu asked. Yes. Ke Wenbin explained seriously, because of the appearance problem, there is no way to install an engine, so electricity is used as the main power source. Originally, the battery standby time was also a big problem, but it was unexpectedly solved by 818. The current bionic armor has an instant rechargeable battery. As long as the shell is exposed to light and heat, it can automatically convert into electrical energy and store it in the battery, he said, gesturing, and because of its strong heat resistance, we are planning to install a microjet device on the soles of the feet to try to see if it can take off. Can't it fly now? Gao Fei asked. Not now. Ke Wenbin said, but even if the microjet is successfully developed and installed under the feet, it may not be able to fly very high. After all, the size is here. But we are still trying. We didn't think that 818 could bring so many benefits. We have been operating in the simulation cabin recently, and it feels more controllable. Is the controllability of the real Mecha the same? Song Ren felt that there were still many changes. Of course, all data is synchronized with the real machine. Otherwise what's the point of simulation? Ke Wenbin didn't say much, patted the arm of the Mecha and said, you go up and try it. There is still a difference. Lin Fan was watching from the sidelines, and it was still very shocking to see four mechas moving at the same time. Especially after such a long period of training, everyone has reached a very comprehensive level of control over the Mecha. Lee Chun-hua was even itchy and rushed towards Song Ren's Fuguang. Gu and Gao Fei were also testing each other on the Mecha. Because they were not proficient in control before, they had only seen Song Ren and Lee Chun-hua fight against Lin Fan. Until now, they also have their own mechas, and they can't help but want to fight. Lin Fan looked at the four of them, pushing and pushing, and he also had a thought of transforming and going up to wrestle. Lin Fan, you Guangli came over at some point, you also have a training task next. We have never tested Xingqian's flying ability. But in fact, we all know that Xingqian can fly. Whether it was the first time to pick up the plane or later to rescue Pangu, Xingqian was obviously able to fly. But after such a long period of testing and data collection, everyone seemed to deliberately ignore this point. In fact, it was also waiting for Lin Fan's condition to become more stable. I know, but I don't know. Lin Fan said honestly. Of course she knew that Xingqian could fly, but as an ordinary person without the ability to fly, she didn't know how to fly. Next, we will focus on testing Xingqian's flying ability. After all, this is a very practical ability. You have to master it as soon as possible. Yu Guangli said seriously. If Xingqian can't fly, the performance will be greatly discounted. Do you want to test it today? Lin Fan asked more directly than him. Okay, let's give it a try. Yu Guangli was straightforward and asked people to prepare for the test. The 4 people who were fighting on the field also stopped and made way for the empty space in the middle. Seeing that everyone was ready, Lin Fan stepped into the test field. When her feet landed, Xingqian appeared. She stood in the center and said to Yu Guangli on the control console, "I'm ready. Okay. Try to give yourself the command of fly in your mind and let yourself fly." Yu Guangli didn't know how to operate it specifically, so he could only suggest this. Lin Fan silently said fly in his mind, and Xingqian flew up with a swish and hit the steel structure of the laboratory ceiling. With a duong sound, the steel beam was deformed directly. Xingqian fell back to the ground in free fall, and spider web cracks appeared on the solid ground in an instant. After landing, Xingqian automatically degenerated into Lin Fan, curled up and motionless. "It's a long-lost accident. It's really cold today. My hands are cold when I put them outside. Except for my hands, nothing is cold." Chapter 171 Jin Sichin returns. Lin Fan. Yu Guangli couldn't help but shout from the microphone. All the people who could move rushed over there. Song Ren and others quickly exited the mecha, pushed aside the others, and rushed to Lin Fan's side. "Boss, this scene is a little familiar." Li Chunhua scratched her chin and said, "How could it not be familiar? Wasn't it the same when she was found under Pangu's feet?" Song Ren quickly checked Lin Fan's joints and had a clue in his mind. Lin Fan. Lin Fan. He gently patted Lin Fan's face and said to the people around him, "You guys spread out and give her some fresh air." Yu Guangli reacted quickly, asked the others to disperse, and called Dr. Zio over. Gao Fei and Gu had never encountered such a situation before, and they were uneasy, but they could only stand by silently. Li Chunhua might have experienced what happened with Pangu, so she wasn't that scared. He felt that he should be fine, but he still had to wait for Dr. Zio to come. After Song Ren called for a while, Lin Fan slowly woke up. What happened? Xingqian was testing flight, and it hit the ceiling and fell down again. Song Ren reminded her, and then asked, "How do you feel? Is there any pain?" Lin Fan lay on her back, looking at the bent steel structure of the ceiling, and slowly felt it. It seemed not painful. "I'm here. How is Lin Fan?" At this time, Dr. Zio and Wu Yi also rushed over panting. After receiving the notice, they didn't have time to call Kuangli and rushed over in a hurry. "It's okay, Dr. Zio. I don't think there's any problem." Lin Fan couldn't bear to see the elderly suffer and wanted to get up, but was held down by Dr. Zio. "You'd better lie down and wait for me to check you first." Dr. Zio didn't dare to let her move. Xingqian is solid, but Lin Fan is fragile. After a careful inspection, there was indeed nothing wrong. Yu Guangli called up the surveillance again, and after slowing down, it was confirmed that Xingqian turned back into Lin Fan after landing. Only then was she allowed to get up. "But just in case, we still have to go back and take an X-ray." "Why did she fall again?" Wu Yi murmured. "Isn't Xingqian well controlled?" Li Chunhua explained to her next to her. Dr. Zio came to the conclusion after hearing it, she must have fainted just now. In other words, Xingqian's flying ability is still in the uncontrollable range. Song Ren also concluded, "Well, the next step is to make the uncontrollable controllable. After you are proficient in cooperating with the new mecha, you will go to the field for field training." "Captain Song, do you have any good suggestions?" Yu Guangli asked. "Xingqian's problem is actually Lin Fan's own problem. What are the venues for field training?" Song Ren asked. "Mountains, deserts, seas, glaciers, and the sky." Yu Guangli gave a general idea. "I think we still have to train Lin Fan herself." Song Ren pondered for a moment and said, "If you want Xingqian to fly, you have to let Lin Fan fly first. If she can't experience that feeling herself, then she can't control Xingqian." Everyone thought it made sense and nodded in agreement. "So we need to arrange flying courses for Lin Fan." Skydiving? Li Chunhua hadn't skydived for a long time. Gao Fei and Gu also looked interested. They were used to skydiving. When it comes to skydiving, they are not inferior to anyone. It's impossible to jump directly from a skydive. Let her get used to the feeling of floating in the air first. By the way, we also need to arrange diving lessons. Gao Fei and Gu, you don't know how to snorkel, right? Song Ren said. "No." The two shook their heads. They are pilots, and swimming is a basic ability. Snorkeling is not something they will learn unless necessary. Okay, I'll organize it in the evening. Make a plan, and arrange what needs to be learned or practiced together. Song Ren said to Yu Guangli. Okay, Captain Song, just go for it. Yu Guangli never doubted Song Ren. He was able to train Lin Fan, who was weak and unable to take care of herself, to what she is now, which has long proved his ability. Lin Fan, who was pulled back to the office building for an X-ray, naturally had no problem. Compared to her, the steel beams and the ground of the laboratory were the ultimate victims. Soon, new machines were added to their training room. Something like a skateboard, slowly rising with the airflow from the bottom. And Lin Fan needs to stand on it to stabilize his center of gravity. This thing is simple to say, but not so easy to do. When holding Song Ren's hand, Lin Fan can still stand shakily. Once Song Ren lets go, Lin Fan will fall. Fortunately, soft cushions were laid around in advance, otherwise she would be covered with bruises again. Lin Fan feels that this thing is more like a surfboard than a skateboard. Unfortunately, she can't do either one. Not to mention her, even Lee Chun-hua, Gao Fei, and Ji Yu couldn't stand when they stood on it. The only one who could stand successfully was the big devil Song Ren. On the day when Lin Fan could successfully stand on the board and sway without falling down, Jin Sichin came back. Didn't you say you would be back in 2 days? Lin Fan saw him enter the training room, distracted, and fell on the soft cushion again. He simply sat there and didn't get up. Well, I encountered some problems before leaving. Jin Sichin didn't elaborate, but Lin Fan knew it must be another trouble. But she didn't ask. Asking wouldn't help. Jin Sichin asked what he was doing. Lin Fan told him. Lee Chun-hua also came over to chat. It wasn't until she saw Jin Sichin that Lin Fan suddenly realized that he had been separated from her for almost a month. When they just separated, she always felt uneasy because Jin Sichin was not there, but now she has gotten used to life without him. In the evening, everyone had dinner again in Lin Fan's room to welcome Jin Sichin back. During the meal, Lee Chun-hua and Gao Fei described the scenes of the New Year's Day to Jin Sichin in detail. Jin Sichin had talked to Song Ren on the phone several times and knew the general idea, but Song Ren was not a storyteller. After listening to Lee Chun-hua's story this time, the picture immediately came to life. I said that Lin Fan put on makeup after coming back this time. It turned out to be your credit. Jin Sichin smiled and praised Lee Chun-hua. That's right. If I hadn't dragged her that day, Lee Chun-hua was originally very proud, but suddenly thought of the price of the cosmetics and muffled her voice again. Anyway, everyone who saw it said it was beautiful. Well, although she didn't buy many clothes, she wears it much better than before. Jin Sichin looked at Lin Fan's flowered sweater again. Although it was a bit old-fashioned, it was much better looking than the clothes of the reserve team. Yes, she doesn't like to buy clothes, but she spent a lot of money on other things. Lee Chun-hua complained to Jin Sichin, as if she was complaining. Does she have the desire to spend money like this? Whether it counts, you have to ask her. Jin Sichin narrowed his eyes and asked Lin Fan with a smile, how is it? How do you feel about money now? Well, Lin Fan propped his chin on the table with his hand. I feel that money is a good thing. Ha 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 ha. Jin Sichin laughed. Look, isn't this a change? Others laughed too. Lin Fan in the past would never say money is a good thing. The next day, Jin Sichin specially did a professional psychological test for Lin Fan and judged that Lin Fan's illness had been cured for the most part, although some symptoms have not completely improved. But at this rate, recovery is just around the corner. This news seems to have given everyone a shot in the arm. 623 is excited and more motivated. Jin Sichin is back. Haha, I almost forgot about him. So sad. Mainly because he has no roles recently. Chapter 172 Parachuting. As Lin Fan could float steadily, Xingchen could also maintain a relatively low altitude and float in the air. Compared with Lin Fan's condition, Xingchen was much better. After Song Ren gradually increased the floating altitude and ensured that Lin Fan could fully adapt to the low altitude floating, he finally took her on the plane. Skydiving. When Lin Fan saw Song Ren carrying the parachute bag, her whole body was full of rejection. Although she had already learned the theoretical knowledge of skydiving, practice is another matter. Okay. but the plane had already taken off, and Lin Fan's rejection was useless. Seeing Song Ren check her safety rope, fixed her in front of him, and opened the cabin door. The biting wind blew in. Lin Fan's hand pulled the cabin door and shouted loudly, "Wait, I don't think I'm ready yet. This is skydiving, damn it." Song Ren was merciless, holding Lin Fan's hand in his own, and jumped directly. Ah, the scream scared Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei. Ji was as still as a mountain, and then jumped down. Lee Chun-ho and Gao Fei followed suit. 4 black dots were falling rapidly in the clear sky. Lin Fan didn't shout for long. As soon as she went out, she was choked by the strong wind. She couldn't cough, and it was uncomfortable. She couldn't breathe, it was cold, and the air was thin. The wind slapped her face, and she felt like she had lost her nose. Her heart was beating hard again. She didn't dare to open her eyes. It was because Song Ren was always close to her, which made her feel more or less safe. But the state of weightlessness and the feeling of free fall still made her feel very uncomfortable. "Lin Fan, open your eyes," Song Ren shouted, and the wind changed his voice. Lin Fan didn't open her eyes. When she said she would wait just now, Song Ren didn't wait either. Why should she open her eyes now? Lin Fan was angry, and she refused to open her eyes. In fact, when she just got out of the plane, she took a look down. The scenery on the ground was as small as on the map, and she felt dizzy after taking a look. Song Ren didn't care about her. When it was time to open the parachute, he grabbed Lin Fan's hand and asked her to open the parachute. "It's about to land. Open your eyes." When Song Ren said this, Lin Fan really opened his eyes. It was still about 20 meters above the ground, which was about 6 or 7 floors. In fact, it was not short, but compared to the height, when she came down from the plane, Lin Fan felt that it was already very good. Before landing, Lin Fan pushed her feet hard, but was still pulled by the huge inertia to run for several steps. This was when Song Ren was pulling her from behind. When she reached the ground, her soft feet finally stepped on the solid ground, and her heart also settled down. After a while, Ji-yu and the other two also landed one after another. "How is it, sister?" This was Gao Fei asking. "It's okay." Although Lin Fan was panicking when she was up there, she thought about it after coming down and felt that it was not as scary as she imagined. "It's okay." Song Ren took off the parachute on his body and glanced at Lin Fan coldly. "Don't think he doesn't know that this guy didn't open his eyes at all when he was up there just now. Then let's continue." "What? She just landed, okay." Lee Chun-ho laughed as she watched Lin Fan being dragged away by Song Ren, completely powerless to resist. "Do you really want to do it again?" Gao Fei looked at Lin Fan with pity. When they first jumped, they didn't land like this and then continue to go up. "How do you think you got the title of Big Devil?" Lee Chun-ho stopped laughing. "Just relying on the training room is nothing, okay?" Ji-yu saw Song Ren looking at them and felt that nothing good was going to happen. "You guys come too." Song Ren's voice came from afar. Lee Chun-ho couldn't laugh anymore. Well, he should have known it earlier. They are in the same team, how could they run away? In this way, under Song Ren's rigorous training, Lin Fan's adaptation to the sky became better and better. "What are you afraid of?" "That's because you haven't jumped enough." Xingchen can also move flexibly while floating in the air. Everyone has improved in training, and the control of Yufeng and Binglin is already comparable to Jingang. Yufeng is the name of Gao Fei's Mecha. This word describes flying on the wind. It is not outstanding in itself, but it has a bit of ancient poetry. In the end, it was decided because of Ji-yu's Binglin. Binglin is an elegant name for the full moon, and the literal meaning is not bad. So it was quickly finalized. Everyone looked at it this way. There are Xingchen, Guang, and Binglin, so Yufeng can be considered a matching one. So Gao Fei's Mecha name was decided by the way. Not only the name of the Mecha was determined, but also the paint color. Guang is a large area of red, the inner joints are black, and the embellishment blocks are white and a small amount of gold. The overall feeling is that the red sun breaks through the darkness. Jingang is gold, the inner joints are also black, but the embellishment is dark blue and red. It gives people a solid and stable feeling. Yufeng has a sky blue shell, and a small area of white and purple red is used for color matching. The overall color of Binglin is a bit blue-purple, with gold and green decorations. In addition to the different main colors, the color matching areas and parts of these 4 mechas are also different. Basically, they all fit their names. Just by looking at the color, you can tell which one is which. After seeing the 4 painted mechas, no one said they were not good looking. The 4-member team also trained harder to become more familiar with the operation of the bionic armor. A few months passed quickly, winter turned to spring, and Lee Chun-ho received good news. His daughter was born. While several people congratulated him, they felt a little sympathetic to the little girl, who had just been born, when they saw the happy new dad holding his mobile phone excitedly and shopping for various pink small items online. Song Ren specially helped Lee Chun-ho reply for an extra video call opportunity so that he could communicate with his family. Several of them avoided it and ran to Lin Fan's room, collectively complaining about Lee Chun-ho's pink aesthetic. The team members have achieved human-machine integration in the control of the mecha, and now all they need is to train in a field environment. No matter how good the simulation environment in the laboratory is, it can't compare to the real natural environment. The original intention of manufacturing various equipment was not to keep them in the laboratory. So, the 623 team ushered in its first field mission, jungle testing. Because 800 was originally built beside a mountain and surrounded by jungle, the venue is a mountain forest not far away. The bionic armor's own energy can support normal travel for about 7 hours. With the solar energy system, that can be used while charging. If it is not particularly cold, it is not a problem to travel for more than 10 hours a day. If the sun is sufficient or even strong, the time can be longer. And the standby time of Xingchen has reached 1 hour. The purpose of entering the forest this time is, on the one hand, to check for loopholes in the bionic armor, and on the other hand, to hone their field team cooperation ability. The other 4 people need to hone their adaptability to the external environment in the mecha, and Lin Fan only needs to hone himself. Compared with the 4 people who have been wearing bionic armor, Lin Fan, who can only enter in the flesh due to the limitation of the transformation time, seems very abrupt. Just half a day after entering the jungle, they met someone unexpected. "Oh, it's the eldest lady." A mocking voice came. Jiang Yu's face also came into view. Sister Jiang Yu, who still remembers her? This chapter was supposed to be posted tomorrow morning, but the timer was wrong. Haha, so today it will be 3 chapters. So tomorrow there will only be 1 chapter in the afternoon, and no chapter in the morning. Chapter 173 Traveling Together. Captain Song? Jiang Yu was immediately attracted by the 4 tall humanoid mechas. Only after being reminded did she notice Lin Fan in front of her. Considering how Song Ren and his companions usually protected Lin Fan, it was obvious who was in the mecha. Jiang Yu. Song Ren's voice came from the red mecha. "What are you doing?" "We are conducting field training to test this wearable mechanical exoskeleton." Jiang Yu confirmed that it was Song Ren in the red mecha and replied to him. Jiang Yu and her team entered this forest 4 days ago. They entered from another place and their training schedule was already halfway through. They didn't expect to meet other teams here. "Is this the latest exoskeleton?" Lee Chun-ho's voice came from the golden mecha. Lin Fan looked carefully. The equipment on Jiang Yu's team was completely different from the mechas she had seen before. It looked more like a skeleton without a shell. The black hydraulic linkage was the key to the power assist. Jiang Yu and his companions wore driving suits and helmets, standing on the exoskeleton. Their limbs and torsos were fixed, and they relied on the power assist system to help them move. The semi-enclosed equipment is hollowed out everywhere, and the protection is almost equivalent to nothing. Compared with the bionic mechas on Song Ren and others, it can be considered simple. "Yes, it was successfully developed a few years ago." Jiang Yu replied. "At that time, a few of us were selected to do test driving. It was also debugged for a long time. The performance was relatively complete before it was pulled out for field testing. No wonder I rarely met Jiang Yu and others in the past few months. It turned out that he joined the project team." Lee Chun-ho nodded slightly, and Jin Gang also nodded slightly. Jiang Yu and others were jealous. "Are these 4 mechas the latest research and development results of your project team?" The person who just mocked Lin Fan beside Jiang Yu spoke up. "Yes, this is the bionic mecha of our group." Song Ren replied. "There is nothing to hide. When the bionic armor came up from underground, many people saw it. This kind of surface information has never been a secret in the institute. Jiang Yu's 5-member team looked at the bionic armor with envy. From the appearance, it is really beautiful, much more majestic than Iron Man. It's not that 623 didn't think about making more bionic armors, but the problem is that the 818 sample is only enough to melt 4 shells. The weight and performance of armors made of other materials are very different from the existing 4. In addition, Lin Fan's identity is a secret. So far, although the bionic armor has been developed, there are only 4 of them as pilots. Li Chunhe looked at the exoskeleton armor and felt a lot. If it weren't for Xingchen's arrival, he would have a very high chance of being selected for the exoskeleton project. It's not that the exoskeleton is not good. It is definitely better than the simulation armor in terms of lightness, manufacturing cost, and ease of wearing. But it is just a tool of the power type after all. First of all, the protective performance is not up to standard, not to mention the strike capability. Although the exoskeleton's arms are equipped with thermal weapons, such small caliber firepower can obviously only cope with certain emergencies. Increasing firepower is not just about changing a big gunhead. For example, now, facing the bionic armor, the small caliber launcher is completely useless. It can only be said that the different equipment plays different roles in their respective fields, which has been decided at the beginning of the development of each project. At present, among all the pilots in the base, the quality of the bionic armor pilot is the highest. Such requirements are not something that everyone can meet. Are you going to take this road? Jiang Yu asked Song Ren. Song Ren looked down at Lin Fan. She opened the map and looked at it for a while before nodding to Song Ren. Yes. Song Ren replied to Jiang Yu. Are you going to take this road too? Yes. Jiang Yu said helplessly. The route was planned before departure, so it cannot be changed easily. She really wants to go with Song Ren and the others, but with Lin Fan. But whether she is willing or not, she can't do anything. Looking at the only road in front of them, unless they step on the branches, to go into the dense forest and open another road out. But that is obviously not wise. Jiang Yu stepped forward and took a look at the map in Lin Fan's hand. According to the route planning, our routes overlap for nearly 2 days. Okay, let's go together. Song Ren didn't think much about it. It is not uncommon for teams to meet temporarily during a mission, and it is not a big deal. Jiang Yu's team is a group of 6 people, and Jiang Yu is the team leader. After all, the development of the exoskeleton is more mature, and they have almost run in their daily training. In addition, they have been in the woods for a few days, so they are familiar with walking. Song Ren and his team entered the woods for the first time after being equipped with mechas, and they have just adapted to the environment. Compared with the stability in the laboratory, the soft soil in the woods is full of green plants that block the view, and there are unstable factors everywhere. They walked quite strenuously. Lin Fan, who had no equipment, was also struggling. Her physical fitness has been greatly improved, but that is only relative to ordinary people. Compared with the people in the reserve team, it is far behind. But no matter how good the physical fitness of the reserve team is, even with the help of exoskeletons, it is not easy to walk in the dense woods. In comparison, Lin Fan only needs to carry a large backpack, which looks like it is only about 20 kilograms, which is really much easier. I don't know what this young lady is doing here. Someone in Jiang Yu's team said indignantly. Lin Fan seemed to come in for training, but she was not equipped with any mechas. During the operation, Song Ren and his men sandwiched her in the middle, taking care of her needs from time to time. This was particularly annoying to Jiang Yu's team following behind. After a long time, they couldn't help but talk about it privately, and their impression of Lin Fan became worse. She probably wants to experience the fun of camping. Someone laughed and joked. After all, with such a powerful bodyguard by her side, there is no need to worry about safety. Not to mention the flexible mechas in front. Even if there are no mechas, as long as Song Ren is there, it means safety. Okay, stop talking. Jiang Yu stopped them. She couldn't stand Lin Fan's behavior. But she also didn't want to talk about people behind their backs. The terrain of the forest is not flat. There are upslopes and downs. When walking, everyone consumes more energy. Even with the assistance of the exoskeleton, the energy consumption is not small. For a while, no one cared about Lin Fan. It was getting dark, and Song Ren found a flat ground near the water to camp. Several people finally withdrew from the Mecha. Jiang Yu's team also camped in the same area, but at a certain distance from Song Ren and the other 5. "Look, miss, you need help to set up the tent." Jiang Yu looked in the direction of the voice, and saw Lin Fan sitting by the side drinking water leisurely. Song Ren was helping her set up the tent, and Li Chunhua and the others were too busy with their own things to bother with their own work, and they clearly divided the work to make a bonfire. Jiang Yu glanced at Song Ren, who was working hard, and couldn't tell what he felt. He could only turn his head and continue to do his own thing. Lin Fan's backpack was full of daily necessities and food. There was also a tent and sleeping bag tied to the backpack. The luggage of Song Ren and the other 4 was hung on the Mecha, which did not add any burden to Lin Fan. For Lin Fan, walking in the woods with a load for a day was a new experience. It was really tiring, but compared to the high-intensity physical training, it didn't seem to be a big deal. It was just that her feet were really uncomfortable. After taking off her shoes, her socks were already soaked. She walked to the water's edge and wanted to rinse her feet with river water to relieve her fatigue. But she was stopped by Song Ren. He told Li Chunhua to get some water and heat it up. He took out a flat round object from Fu Guang's luggage bag, unfolded it, and turned it into a folding basin. Li Chunhua boiled the water and added cold water to the basin. "Come on, soak your feet." Lin Fan was shocked. How could this be done? She glanced at Jiang Yu, and sure enough, she saw 6 people staring at this side in unison, with very gloomy faces. Okay, the charge of being extravagant can't be avoided this time. Well, someone advised me to cut the book again today. Almost everyone who has read my book and knows my grades told me not to write anymore. What should I do? Are there any readers who are still reading? Tell me in the comment section. Should I continue? Chapter 174 SQ. The next morning, Lin Fan found that it was raining outside. The rain was not too heavy, and it should have started at night. The ground was wet, dirty and slippery to step on. After eating breakfast in the tent, he put on his raincoat. With the help of Song Ren, he packed up the tent. The group continued to move forward. Jiang Yu had been in the woods for the 5th day, and everyone felt more or less tired. This kind of fatigue cannot be completely relieved by sleeping at night. The spring rain is still relatively cold. Jiang Yu's team all wore driving suits and helmets. In theory, with the most advanced special materials, water will automatically slide off the clothes and will not soak the clothes. But they will still feel cold after being soaked in the rain for a long time. Coupled with the fatigue accumulated in the past few days, Jiang Yu and his companions felt terrible. Exoskeleton mechas are not as good as fully enclosed mechas in this regard. Song Ren seemed to have anticipated their predicament. He specially asked Li Chunhua to lead the way in front and let Jiang Yu and his 6 companions follow behind Li Chunhua. He took Lin Fan and followed behind Jiang Yu's team, keeping a distance of several body lengths. Gao Fei and Ji Yu were the last ones to leave. Today's road was particularly difficult to walk on. Not only was it slippery due to the rain, but the terrain was also bad. Most of the roads were uphill, and there were steep slopes. Because of the rain, everyone's vision was not very good. Especially the exoskeleton team. They always had to clean the eyepieces on their helmets from time to time. Fortunately, around 9 o'clock, the rain gradually stopped. Both Lin Fan and the exoskeleton team breathed a sigh of relief. This damp and cold feeling was really uncomfortable. Although the rain stopped, everyone couldn't stop immediately. They were walking on a muddy path, which was narrow and slippery, and could only accommodate a single mecha. One side of the path was a steep slope, covered with unclear green plants and thorns. The bottomless appearance reminded Lin Fan of a cliff. She quickly leaned to the other side, to prevent herself from accidentally sliding down. She could move aside, but the exoskeleton in front couldn't. Jiang Yu didn't know why. Her foot slipped, and she was about to fall down the steep slope. The people behind her saw this, and hurried to pull her up. With a strong effort, Jiang Yu was pulled back, but the person pulling her slipped down. Several people were shocked and looked over. The person grabbed a few vines in time, and hung 10 meters below. The vines didn't look very strong, and might break soon. Quick, pull him up. Jiang Yu wanted everyone in the team to hold hands and pull the person who fell up. But the road was too slippery and they couldn't stabilize themselves. If they didn't save the person, they would all slide down. Although the mechas of Song Ren and others were heavy and basically would not slide down, they were also difficult to operate. If Jiang Yu and the other 5 formed a human chain and held Fu Guang and the others to secure them, they would not slide down, but the length of the people connected together was still a little short, and they couldn't reach them at all. Moreover, the road above was narrow, and it was impossible for several people to line up. After several attempts, the already narrow road collapsed again. If they continued to go down, Song Ren and the others might fall down. What should we do? Jiang Yu was so anxious that she turned around. Seeing that the vine in the hand of the person below broke and slid down again, she could only ask Song Ren for help. Of course, she could ask for help from outside, but distant water could not quench a nearby fire. The steep slope was so steep that you couldn't see the bottom at a glance, and you had no idea how high it was. You didn't know what was going on below. If people really slid down, it was unknown what they would face. The exoskeleton itself was not light, and it was a semi-enclosed structure with poor protection. In this suspended state, the skeleton pulled the driver down. The person who slid down clung to the vines with both hands, and he didn't have time to remove the device. If he was allowed to slide down the steep slope of unknown depth, it was really hard to say what kind of harm the driver inside would face. You can't just watch people fall down. If something goes wrong, they will definitely blame themselves for the rest of their lives and regret not trying their best to rescue them now. Looking at the predicament in front of him, Song Ren actually knew a quick solution, but should he tell Jiang Yu and the others? Captain Song, help us. Seeing Song Ren's attitude, the others knew that there was still hope and pleaded in unison. At this moment, the people below slid down a little bit, and it seemed that he would not be seen from above. You can save him, but you must swear not to tell anyone what you see later. Several people thought that Song Ren would tell them how to save people, but they didn't expect him to say this. Even Jiang Yu, who had feelings for Song Ren, was stunned. It's already this time, and you are still talking about this? Save people first. Someone was dissatisfied and spoke angrily. Jiang Yu, however, intuitively believed in Song Ren's character. I swear, I promise not to tell anyone what I see later. The others also knew that the situation was urgent. Although they were dissatisfied in their hearts, they still gritted their teeth and promised in an emergency. Lin Fan. Song Ren looked down and saw that Lin Fan had taken off his backpack and handed it to Li Chunhe and was taking off his coat. The others saw Song Ren calling her miss at this time, and they didn't understand why. Watching Lin Fan taking off his coat slowly and hanging it on the rack next to him, the impatient person was about to start cursing, but suddenly, his eyes blurred and Lin Fan, who was standing just now, disappeared. Huh? Where's he? Jiang Yu and the others didn't react at all, and there was a movement behind them. When they turned around, they saw that the team member who fell down, along with his exoskeleton, had been lifted up from behind by a white mecha. The mecha was obviously with Song Ren and the others, but it was a little smaller. The white mecha gently placed the driver who didn't know what was going on the flat path. Everyone was anxious and angry, and the rescue, that was not done, was solved so casually. Jiang Yu and the others stared at the white mecha in a daze. Suddenly, the mecha disappeared again, and Lin Fan came out from behind the exoskeleton. Excuse me. She turned sideways, carefully stuck to the exoskeletons of several people, and walked back by the branches next to her. She walked to Li Chunhe, shook her body, put on her coat quickly, and exhaled. It's so cold. She slowly put on her clothes, put on her backpack, and took care of everything. As a result, when she looked up, the people in Jiang Yu's team were still looking at her motionlessly. Huh? Why don't you leave? Lin Fan felt that this place was not auspicious, and something would happen if he talked about it. It's better to leave quickly. What's the situation? The person who fell down just now was still confused. How come no one cares about him after he finally got up? And how did he get up? Okay, let's leave here first. When we get to a suitable place, I will tell you slowly. Song Ren didn't want to stay on this road for too long, so he urged. He had just sent a message to the group to report and received a reply. Since he had seen it, he might as well say something appropriately. Anyway, they all have to sign an agreement when they go out. Chapter 175, A Strange Transformation. Finally they found a flat and safe place, and the sun came out. 623 parked the mecha in a well-lit place and exited. Jiang Yu and others also exited the exoskeleton and basked in the sun. Lin Fan shook his raincoat aside and hung it on Fu Guang's shoulder to dry. At this time, Jiang Yu's team looked at Lin Fan differently than before. Before, they disliked him, but now they were amazed. After Song Ren told them the situation, everyone was very surprised. Looking at Lin Fan again, they were surprised. Was that Xingqian just now? Everyone was more interested in Xingqian's status. Yes, Xingqian is a biological mecha. It is different from our mecha. We don't know the specific principle. We only know that Lin Fan and Xingqian are equal. Song Ren explained carefully, so don't always laugh at her weakness. These are the sequelae of transformation. Ah, sorry. Those who had mocked Lin Fan before knew they were wrong. So the reason why you protect her so much is also because of Xingqian? After Jiang Yu came to this conclusion, his mood inexplicably improved. Thinking of his previous targeting of Lin Fan, he felt a little embarrassed. Yes and no. It was indeed because of Xingqian at the beginning. But now that it has been so long, Lin Fan has become our important partner. Protecting her and taking care of her has become a very natural part of life. After all, what she has to endure is hard for us to imagine. Song Ren said. Jiang Yu and others looked at Lin Fan, who was eating non-stop and joking with Li Chunhua and the other two not far away. It was hard to imagine the pain of separation when she transformed. Now that they knew it, they couldn't help but want to take better care of her. Lin Fan's condition couldn't be said much. Song Ren just gave a general idea and that was it. Jiang Yu and others were happy when they knew that the bionic armor was designed and produced with reference to Xingqian. No wonder it is completely different from the previous products. One team member sighed. As members of the reserve team, they are more clear about the dynamics of equipment research and development. Only the bionic mecha of 623 seems to have come out of nowhere. It is not in the same dimension as the existing research and development products. Now that they know it is related to Xingqian, they finally solved the doubts. Although Xingqian herself is still a mystery, it does not affect her promotion of the scientific and technological development progress of the institute. Although the appearance of bionic armor is still inferior to giant mechas like Panbu, its flexibility and controllability have already surpassed all other existences in the same equipment category. So bionic armor can't fly now, right? Jiang Yu asked. If it can fly, there will be no need for Xingqian. Not yet. But I heard that there will be more macrojets below to try to float to a certain extent. But it is probably still impossible to fly freely like Xingqian. Song Ren also felt sorry about this. But from the perspective of the level of technological development, it is not bad to be able to float. The two teams that had some conflicts yesterday suddenly melted away because of an accident. After resting and walking forward for a while, Jiang Yu's team was about to go out. Before leaving, they said they wanted to see Xingqian again and wanted to observe it up close. Seeing that Song Ren agreed, Lin Fan did not act pretentiously and transformed directly to meet their wishes. The satisfied group of 6 happily left the woods and completed their mission. In addition to the members of their project team, there were also special commissioners from the security department waiting at the exit. Song Ren sent a message to Yu Guangli after Lin Fan rescued people. It was only with Yu Guangli's consent that he could reveal certain information to Jiang Yu and the others. So when the 6 people just came out, the first person they contacted was the special commissioner of the security department. After they signed the confidentiality agreement of 623, they could contact the people in their own group. The 6 people also knew that Lin Fan's matter was much more special than ordinary scientific research projects, and they were very obedient. Song Ren and his friend's jungle adventure did not last for a few days. In the evening of the 5th day, they reached the exit. Whether it was the 4 people who had been in the mecha all the time, or Lin Fan who almost relied on his own body to cross the entire territory, they all felt exhausted. After the 4 people reported some discomfort to the group, they got a few days of rest. When the adjusted mecha was tested again, everyone's data increased. At the same time, Song Ren mentioned the emergency situation encountered by Jiang Yu's team in the forest. He said that, in order to protect Lin Fan's identity from being known to more people, similar things should be avoided as much as possible in the future. Therefore, future field test activities must be staggered with other project teams and act alone. This proposal was unanimously agreed by everyone. On this day, 5 people were eating in the cafeteria. Lin Fan sensitively felt that the atmosphere around her was not right. She looked up and saw Jiang Yu and others walking towards her. The people around her thought that another conflict was going to break out, and they were all excited. As a result, Jiang Yu actually walked to Lin Fan's table and sat down and chatted with them with a smile. Huh? What's going on? It was obviously not the case last time. The onlookers didn't know why Jiang Yu's attitude changed. Did she also succumb to the power of the eldest lady? What are you talking about? The team members in the same group as Jiang Yu heard these discussions and couldn't help frowning and scolding the person who was talking. Senior. The person who was caught apologized quickly. We are not saying anything about Sister Jiang Yu. We just wonder why her attitude is so strange. Obviously, we were irreconcilable last time. Why are you so curious? Lin Fan's affairs cannot be told. They have signed a confidentiality agreement. Let's go eat. The person who used to scold Lin Fan in a sarcastic way came over and pulled him to Lin Fan's side. After seeing Xingchen up close last time, he felt itchy in his heart, always thinking whether he could see it again. Seeing that the person who had scolded the most fiercely before had also changed his position, more and more people were confused. But more people were sure that Miss Lin Fan was definitely right. After coming out of the forest, after a data adjustment, the mecha was more suitable for the driver. At the same time, the microjet was successfully developed and was trying to be installed on the mecha. There are 2 on the soles of the feet and 2 under the back shoulder blades. These positions were reserved before, so there is no need to recast, just install and debug directly. Lin Fan has also been insisting on physical training. With continuous exercise, his strength is also increasing synchronously. The standby time of Xingchen is also steadily increasing. After the bionic armor is added with a jet device, it is equivalent to adding a propulsion system. It is used for short-term suspension, translation, or acceleration. But such operations will consume a lot of energy, so it can only be used for short-term, emergency situations. With the bionic armor with a propulsion system, it is just right to enter the next practical training process. Underwater test. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.